Chapter 1556. Rumble, the world spun and the stars shifted. It was as if he was in the middle of an endless whirlpool amidst a storm. Bai Qianyu's divine sense seemed to have been dragged into a vast and boundless Milky Way universe along with the abnormally intense spatial fluctuations. What appeared in front of Bai Qianyu was a boundless starry sky. It was like a dream. Her golden divine eyes that exuded the aura of an emperor surged with an especially violent energy fluctuation. Together with the 8 black dots that were chasing each other in the depths of her pupils, a huge, strange, mist-like face actually appeared in the sky above the dreamy and distorted galaxy. It was as if it was a powerful force from another world. In the mist, there seemed to be a pair of deep, cold eyes looking down at the world, looking down at Bai Qianyu below. This aura, Bai Qianyu's heartstrings trembled, and she felt as if the depths of her soul were being invaded. This aura seemed to come from the abyss and hid in the depths of an underground river. It was extremely terrifying. Heart Beast, the fierce power that connected the bloodline of the divine sacred clan. Splash. Waves splashed in the pool. Suddenly, a figure flashed across the sky and scooped up Bai Qianyu, who had sunk into the deep pool. Swish, then, she leaped onto a rock a few meters wide on the edge of the pool. Her movements were light, and she carefully put Bai Qianyu down, letting her upper body lean against her chest. It was a slender woman dressed in black. She couldn't help but sigh as she looked at the drenched, pale, and unconscious Bai Qianyu. Even you've developed an inner demon? His fair and slender fingers gently stroked Bai Qianyu's exquisite and beautiful face. He sighed softly as he wiped his drenched hair. It looks like I really can't escape my fate. The Eastern region. The victorious East Prefecture. Kuan City. It's been so many days, but Big Brother Chu Hen still hasn't woken up? Yi Yao asked uneasily. Not yet. Long Qingyang answered, a hint of helplessness in his voice. Yi Yao sighed. Long Xuanxuang also secretly shook her head. Everyone had learned from Long Qingyang what had happened to Chu Hen in the Demon Eye Sacred Clan. As for the fate of the Demonic Eye Sacred Clan and the Holy Eye Sacred Clan, they could not help but sigh. I really hope that Big Brother Chu Hen can wake up soon. Don't worry. Long Xuanxuang looked up and said, with her by Chu Hen's side, nothing will happen. And Yi Yao nodded in agreement. Fortunately, she came back. Otherwise, we don't know how to comfort Chu Hen when he wakes up. Night. Even though the inner city of Kuan City was still immersed in the hustle and bustle of the city, a mansion that was built halfway up the mountain of Mount Kunliu was exceptionally quiet. In a spacious room, the candlelight on the table flickered like a little flame elf. On a clean and tidy bed, Chu Hen had been unconscious for many days. Mount Kunliu's sect master, Gong Yangyu, had personally checked on Chu Hen and found that there were no injuries on him. But Chu Hen showed no signs of waking up. It was as if he was avoiding reality and did not want to wake up. What is a wish? Blue sky, green willows, golden beach. Can you be more specific? There is a boat by the blue water. Can you be more specific? To be with you. I've already repaid what I owe you. You don't have to repay what you owe me. From today onwards, we don't owe each other anything. It was as if Chu Hen was trapped in a huge net of nightmares, unable to break free. What bound him was the scenes of the past, her voice, her smile, and her heartbreaking, sorrowful eyes. I believe you. The hazy dream was as low as a mosquito's buzz. At this moment, a fair, slender hand carefully wiped the sweat off Chu Hen's forehead. Immediately after, Chu Hen, who was still dreaming, subconsciously held on to that hand. As if he had found someone to rely on, Chu Hen's furrowed brows slowly relaxed. After a long silence, Chu Hen seemed to have fallen into the web of another nightmare. The corner of his eyes seemed to be slightly moist. Mengcheng, I miss you so much. The deep voice was unclear, but that beautiful hand couldn't help but clench gently. Then, a gentle voice rang in Chu Hen's ears. I miss you too. It was close to midnight. Chu Hen's fingers lightly touched twice. As his eyelids slowly opened, a wisp of candlelight from the table entered Chu Hen's vision. He slowly sat up, his eyes filled with some confusion. Just as Chu Hen got off the bed, he caught a glimpse of something from the corner of his eyes. His gaze was suddenly fixed on the side of the window. Beside the window, a beautiful woman with an otherworldly temperament sat on the window-sill, leaning against the window frame as she slept. The bright moonlight shone on her beautiful face, making her look excessively beautiful. She stood with her back facing Chu Hen. She had an absolutely beautiful side profile, exquisite facial features, and soft hair that fell to her waist. Paired with the floral long dress she was wearing, she was like a fairy that had fallen into the mortal world. She woke up from her light sleep. Under her long eyelashes, her clear eyes moved. Just as she was about to get down from the window-sill, a pair of strong and light arms wrapped around her waist from behind, pulling her into a deep embrace. Am I dreaming? A familiar aura came from behind. Chu Hen tightly embraced her into the crook of his arm. His chin rested on her shoulder, feeling the faint fragrance that made one's heart intoxicated. She didn't break free. Instead, she quietly leaned against Chu Hen's chest. Mengchang, Chu Hen whispered in her ear. Is it really you? I'm not dreaming, am I? What if it's a dream? Luo Mengchang gently stroked Chu Hen's cheek with her fingertips and said softly. If it's a dream, I'd rather never wake up. Chu Hen unconsciously hugged her tighter. Luo Mengchang smiled lightly. Didn't I promise you? I'll be the one to look for you next time, so here I am. Chu Hen didn't answer and just quietly leaned on her shoulder. Why aren't you talking? Luo Mengchang asked. I'm afraid that if I speak, I'll wake up from the dream. Chu Hen didn't even dare to open his eyes. Fool! Open your eyes and look at me. This isn't a dream, I'm really here to look for you. As she spoke, Luo Mengchang gently broke free from Chu Hen's arm, then turned around to face Chu Hen. I'm here. The familiar aura was like a refreshing mountain breeze, the warm light of an ancient city. It was always unforgettable. Chu Hen slowly opened his eyes. Under the reflection of the candlelight in the room and the moonlight outside the window, Chu Hen saw a devastatingly beautiful face. This scene was so beautiful that it felt extremely unreal. Mengchang, it's really you. Chapter 1557. The flowers on the street were blooming, and they were slowly returning. This time I will go and find you. Mengchang, it's really you. Chu Hen's voice revealed a trace of trembling. Extending his hand, he gently caressed Luo Mengchang's fair and flawless face. Feeling the genuine touch of her skin, Chu Hen's pupils faintly trembled, and his eyes unconsciously turned red. Chu Hen smiled. His smile was very complicated. There were tears of joy after reuniting after a long time. There was also the shame and guilt buried in his heart. It's me. Luo Mengchang's voice was soft like rain, and her beautiful eyes were moving. You're finally back. Chu Hen's tone was deep, and he still couldn't believe it. Luo Mengchang smiled lightly. Yes, I'm back. Chu Hen couldn't help it anymore, and he hugged Luo Mengchang deeply into his arms. At this moment, in his arms, it was as if she was the only precious treasure. Chu Hen's eyes were tightly shut, and the corners of his eyes were moist. Luo Mengchang could clearly feel Chu Hen's trembling body, and her beautiful eyes turned slightly red. She gently hugged Chu Hen, and the corners of her mouth raised into a sincere smile. Flowers will bloom again, and people will meet again. Last time, they parted in a hurry in Hidden Sky City, and in the blink of an eye, several years had passed. For countless cultivators, a few years was just a snap of the fingers. But in the eyes of some people, it was the endless longing accumulated over countless days and nights. Under the moonlight on the windowsill, the two hugged each other tightly, feeling the familiar warm aura on each other's body. All right. Luo Mengchang gently patted Chu Hen's back, motioning for him to let go of her. Do you miss me that much? Chu Hen shook his head slightly. I'm afraid you'll run away again. I won't. Luo Mengchang smiled subconsciously, and then continued to lean on Chu Hen's shoulder. When did you come back? Chu Hen asked in a low voice. Not for a few days, Luo Mengchang replied. At first, I went to the inner province of Midland first. I heard from the people there that you went back to the eastern domain, so I came here. But Sister Xian Shuang said that you went back to the Demon Eye Holy Clan. So I asked Aunt Yu to take me to the Purple Imperial City of the Wang Realm, but on the way, I happened to meet Brother Qingyang, who brought you back. The Demon Eye Sacred Clan. At the mention of these words, Chu Hen couldn't help but feel a dull pain in his heart. Then, he slowly let go of Luo Mengchang's arm, his expression revealing a little loneliness. What happened? Luo Mengchang looked into Chu Hen's eyes and asked. Long Qingyang did not tell Luo Mengchang about what had happened to the Demon Eye Sacred Clan. He felt that some words should be said by Chu Hen himself to Luo Mengchang. Looking at Luo Mengchang's beautiful face that was just inches away from him, Chu Hen could not help but imagine the scene that he had dreamed of. He had thousands of thoughts in his heart that he wanted to say to her. However, at this moment, he did not know how to say it. Luo Mengchang waited for Chu Hen to speak. She only looked at him with her pure and clear eyes, taking in the guilt and sadness that constantly surged out of Chu Hen's eyes. I'm sorry. After a while, Chu Hen uttered these three extremely difficult words from his mouth. Luo Mengchang's eyes flashed with a trace of sadness. She said, Do you like her too? Chu Hen clenched his fists lightly and did not answer. He should have shook his head and denied it. However, he could not lie to himself, let alone Luo Mengchang. When he was in the Purple Imperial City, the heart-tearing and lung-splitting pain had already clearly told Chu Hen that at a certain time, a pair of bright and beautiful peach blossom eyes had quietly entered his heart. What should I do? While I was unconscious, you called her name once more than me. It seems that you like her more. No. Chu Hen quickly denied it, but then he swallowed the words that were about to come out of his mouth. Because no matter who he liked more, it did not make much sense. He still felt sorry for Luo Mengchang. Luo Mengchang raised her eyebrows slightly and looked at him expectantly. Tell me, what should you do so that I can forgive you? Chu Hen still did not know how to answer. Luo Mengchang sighed softly, then wrapped her arms around Chu Hen's back and leaned against his chest. Chu Hen was startled. He was a little surprised by her actions. Mengchang, you. Last time in Hidden Sky City, I knew that there was someone else quietly in your heart. Luo Mengchang's cheek was pressed against Chu Hen's chest, as if she was listening to Chu Hen's heartbeat. She continued softly, Do you remember what I said that day? Chu Hen's heart could not help but tremble. He clenched his fists, and his expression was exceptionally complicated. Immediately, he said softly, Thank you, Mengchang. A faint smile appeared at the corner of Luo Mengchang's mouth. What else can I do? I can't stop you from falling in love with someone else, just like I can't stop myself from thinking about you. Predestined fate. Predestined fate. Luo Mengchang's gentle words were like a veil that soothed Chu Hen's restless soul and repaired his heart that was riddled with holes. I don't want you to feel pain because of me anymore. Luo Mengchang slowly raised her head and gently held Chu Hen's face with her jade-like hands. There were also shallow tears in her eyes. Because of pain. Chu Hen was reluctant to wake up these days. She could not watch the only man she cared about in front of her suffer a greater blow. Chu Hen let out a deep sigh of relief. It was as if all the depression in his heart had been discharged, and he could finally breathe again after being suffocated for a long time. Looking at the lovely Luo Mengchang in front of him, the pain of even breathing quietly disappeared. He unconsciously lowered his head and leaned gently against Luo Mengchang's beautiful face. Their breaths were exceptionally close. The tip of their noses almost touched each other. However, at the moment when their lips touched, Luo Mengchang's finger gently tapped on Chu Hen's forehead and then slightly pushed him away. I haven't completely forgiven you. Behave yourself. Luo Mengchang pouted her small mouth and said playfully. Yes, I was wrong. I beg for your forgiveness. As Chu Hen spoke, he licked the corner of his mouth, slightly reminiscing that touch of warmth and moist touch. Seeing this, Luo Mengchang's cheeks turned red and she directly broke free from Chu Hen's arms. Then she rolled her eyes at him and deliberately pretended to be disdainful. I won't forgive you so quickly for the time being. Think about how to please me in the future. Chu Hen was amused. At this moment, his suffocating chest was finally unobstructed again. By the way, Mengchang, where have you been all these years? Immediately, Chu Hen asked with concern. Luo Mengchang slightly raised her head and softly replied, I returned to the Holy Abyss tribe. Oh? Holy Abyss tribe? Yes, you definitely wouldn't have thought of it. Even I can't believe it. So, my mother is the Holy Abyss Emperor. P.S. If you have forgotten what Luo Mengchang said to you in the past, you can look back at Chapter 1105, Meeting Luo Mengchang again. Also, I have something to do today, so I need to take a day off. Sorry. Chapter 1558. You definitely wouldn't have thought of it. Even I couldn't believe it myself. It turns out that my mother is Abysmal Emperor, Luo Mengchang said softly and solemnly. What? Abysmal Emperor? Chu Hen's eyes widened when he heard those words. His face was filled with shock. Shocked? Luo Mengchang chuckled. Chu Hen nodded. When Aunt Yu told me, I was shocked too. I only believed it after she brought me back to Abysmal Saint Tribe. Then have you already met the 9th Abyss Heavenly Emperor? Chu Hen asked. Luo Mengchang shook her head. Not yet. Why? She's still in a deep sleep. Deep sleep? Chu Hen was stunned. He didn't seem to understand what she meant. Luo Mengchang's eyes were filled with doubt and melancholy. She continued, Not long after I was born, there was a huge change in the 10 strongest sacred clans. My mother left alone for a few days. When she returned to the clan, she was seriously injured. Then, she went into seclusion and fell into a deep sleep. Before that, she secretly entrusted Aunt Yu to take me away from the sacred clan. Why did she send you away? Chu Hen asked cautiously. She didn't say the specific reason. And you only told me that my mother did it to protect me, Luo Mengchang explained. Not long after she was born, she was sent away. Chu Hen clenched his fist. He knew that Luo Mengchang was the same age as him. In other words, the two of them had left Abysmal Saint Tribe and Demon Eye Saint Tribe in the same year, or even at the same time. There was a huge change in the 10 strongest sacred clans. This change was most likely referring to the catastrophe that the Demon Eye Sacred Clan and the Chaos Race had encountered. An Abysmal Emperor had left during that period of time. Could Abysmal Saint Tribe have something to do with what happened back then? Chu Hen's arm couldn't help but tremble. His heart felt like it was being squeezed by an invisible hand. His chest felt like it was covered with cobwebs, and there was an indescribable feeling of suffocation. But then, Chu Hen immediately came to his senses. The disaster that Demon Eye Sacred Clan had encountered shouldn't have much to do with Abysmal Sacred Clan. The reason was simple. Just now, Luo Mengchang herself had said that she first went to the inner province of the Midland, then to the victorious East Province. After failing to find Chu Hen twice, she directly went to the Purple Imperial City in the Falsehood Realm. If Abysmal Sacred Tribe had participated in that matter, Aunt Yu wouldn't have dared to bring Luo Mengchang to Demon Eye Sacred Tribe. Plus, Fourth Elder didn't mention that Abysmal Sacred Tribe was involved in it when they were in Purple Royal City. Of course, the most suspicious part was where the Abyss Heavenly Emperor had gone before she fell into a deep slumber, and what was her real concern for sending Luo Mengchang away. Chu Hen and Luo Mengchang's fates seemed to be extremely similar. There seemed to be an invisible gravitational force that brought them together. In one's life, the seemingly coincidental fate actually had its origins. Good karma? An ill-fated relationship? This was a coincidence and also fate. Where is Aunt Yu? Chu Hen suddenly thought of this crucial person. Luo Mengchang was stunned. Didn't she go to Demon Eye Sacred Tribe with you? Then where is she now? I don't know. Luo Mengchang's eyes were filled with doubt. We met Brother Qingyang on the way, then Aunt Yu said she had something to do, so she left first. Brother Qingyang and I brought you back to Kuan City, left? Chu Hen couldn't help but shake his head slightly, and a trace of disappointment flashed in his eyes. What's wrong? Luo Mengchang asked. If you want to see Aunt Yu, I can bring you to Abysmal Sacred Tribe to find her. Chu Hen let out a deep breath. Looking at Luo Mengchang's exquisite and beautiful face, he smiled and shook his head. Not for now, accompany me to another place first. Where? Southern Land, Celestial Seal Domain. By the window, Chu Hen gently pulled Luo Mengchang into his arms, and looked up at the bright moon hanging high in the night sky. Southern Land, Celestial Seal Domain. Ethereal Sky. The place where Chu Hentian and Li Zhixiao were last seen. If he could find them, all the answers to the riddle would be easily solved. But if he couldn't see them, then he could only go to Abysmal Sacred Tribe. Chu Hen's mind was in turmoil, and his eyes were deep and solemn, filled with an indescribable complexity. The next day. You're going to the Southern Land? In the courtyard. Long Qingyang, Long Xuanshuang, and the rest were surprised to see Chu Hen and Luo Mengchang ready to go. Rest for a few more days? Long Xuanshuang said worriedly. No need. I'm fine now. Chu Hen said resolutely. He couldn't wait any longer, and only wanted to get to Celestial Seal Domain as soon as possible. Let me go with you? Long Qingyang said. Me too. Me too. Long Xuanshuang and Yi Yao said hurriedly. Chu Hen smiled and shook his head. Big brother, you haven't recovered yet. Didn't you two say you were going into seclusion? Mengchang can go with me. Long Qingyang had been injured by Chu Hen unconsciously when they left the illusion realm, and Chu Hen couldn't help but feel guilty. As for Long Xuanshuang and Yi Yao, they had said they were going into seclusion, but had been delayed because of Chu Hen's matter. After the battle with War God Palace, Martial Alliance and Chu Hen had obtained a huge amount of resources. Coupled with the power of inheritance in the Chaos Devil domain, Long Xuanshuang and Yi Yao could strike while the iron was hot and try to break through to a higher realm. They looked at Luo Mengchang, who was standing beside Chu Hen, and didn't say anything. All right then. I don't have to worry about anything with Miss Mengchang by your side. Long Qingyang didn't insist. By the way, where's Uncle Jean? Chu Hen asked. Father has returned to the 100 Kingdoms Prefecture. He said he wanted to visit his old home in Flaming Rain City and visit his old friends, Long Qingyang said. Chu Hen nodded. Those acquaintances in Flaming Rain City will probably be shocked when they see Uncle Jean. Shocked? They'll probably think they saw a ghost, Long Xuanshuang said. Ha 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 ha, they couldn't help but laugh. Chu Hen then turned to Long Qingyang with a solemn expression. Big brother, you need to be wary of the Dragon Blood Sacred Clan at all times. Everyone's expressions turned solemn at the mention of the Dragon Blood Sacred Clan. The Dragon Blood Sacred Clan wouldn't let Long Qingyang get away with taking the Dragon Yuan. Fortunately, Long Qingyang knew that the Dragon Blood Sacred Clan used living people as sacrifices to nurture the Dragon Yuan. For the time being, the Dragon Blood Sacred Clan wouldn't dare to act rashly. Once this matter was verified by many parties, even the 10 strongest sacred clans would be condemned by the other sacred clans and condemned by word and pen. The Dragon Blood Sacred Clan would have to weigh the consequences. Of course, the Dragon Blood Sacred Clan didn't do anything for now because they had their own considerations, but it was only a matter of time before they came looking for them. It was better to be on guard. I'll be careful, Long Qingyang said, a cold glint flashing in his eyes. If you really can't solve it, take this to the 9 Nether Sacred Clan. With that, she took out a jade pendant with the word Chang on it and handed it to Long Qingyang. The others were stunned. This is? They will help you, Luo Mengchang said with certainty. Take it, big brother. Chu Hen motioned for Long Qingyang to accept it. After all, the Dragon Blood Sacred Clan was no ordinary sacred clan. Apart from the strongest sacred clan, no one could suppress their arrogance. Long Qingyang nodded. All right, since it's Miss Mengchang's kind intentions, I'll accept it. You're too kind, big brother Qingyang. Just call me Mengchang from now on. Ha 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 ha, all right. Marry sister-in-law as soon as possible, big brother. Chu Hen reminded. I know. I'll marry her when you guys come back, all right? You, on the other hand, shouldn't let Mengchang down, Long Qingyang retorted. Luo Mengchang's eyes were smiling as she looked at Chu Hen coquettishly. I haven't forgiven him yet. Chu Hen laughed dryly and shook his head. All right, I won't be going to greet sect leader Gong Yang personally. We'll be leaving now. All right, be careful on the road. Big brother Chu Hen and big sister Mengchang, be careful. After a simple farewell, Chu Hen and Luo Mengchang left for the southern continent together. Long Qingyang held the jade pendant Luo Mengchang had given him in his hand as he watched them leave. Bai Qianyu from the holy-eyed sacred clan was already surprising enough. Who would have thought that Luo Mengchang, whom they knew from the sacred star dynasty, would also have such an extraordinary status? The Nine Nether Sacred Clan. Long Qingyang murmured. What was the connection between them? Was it a coincidence? Or was it the will of the heavens? Chapter 1559. 1 second to remember. Wonderful pop-up window free reading. Southern Land. According to the local residents, the Heaven Ravine Ridge should be up ahead. At the peak of a mountain range, Chu Hen and Luo Mengchang finally set foot on the vast southern land after many twists and turns. They used teleportation formations to transfer between the various provinces in the eastern region. Then, they directly traversed the millions of miles of sea between the eastern and southern regions. Although they encountered extremely violent convective storms, the two did not stop for even a moment and directly reached the southern land. After reaching the southern land, the two asked many questions from the local residents, and then arrived at the border of the Heaven Ravine Ridge. Regarding the Heaven Ravine Ridge, although Chu Hen was not familiar with it, anyone who had a little understanding of geography would know that the lair of the demon region was behind the Heaven Ravine Ridge. There was no strait connecting the Midland and the southern land, but there was an infinite mountain range that extended between the two. Heaven Ravine Ridge. This was a huge mountain range that directly ran through the border between the Midland and the southern land. The vastness of the range and the vastness of the land was astonishing. Therefore, the Heaven Ravine Ridge was also known as the South Ridge and the Middle Ridge, and the lair of the demon region was located within the South Ridge and the Middle Ridge. The territory occupied by the demon region was a few times larger than the entire Midland's inner province. In addition, there were many dangerous secret areas in the Heaven Ravine Ridge and the poisonous demonic miasma forest, which gave the demon beasts a unique habitat to breed and live. Even if the powerful human beings and the demon region had been in constant conflict since ancient times, the demon region was not afraid of the human race's harassment at all because of the Heaven Ravine Ridge, which was a natural barrier. Along the Heaven Ravine Ridge, we can reach the Midland. Luo Mengchang exclaimed. Looking from afar, in the depths of the Heaven Ravine Ridge, there were undulating mountains, and the peak pillars pierced the clouds. It was majestic, like ancient giant beasts that guarded the world. One could not help but admire the uncanny workmanship of the Creator. Chu Hen smiled. I'll probably break my legs. Of course not. At worst, I'll just catch a few demon beasts for transportation. All right, when we return from the Celestial Seal region, we'll walk from the Heaven Ravine Ridge to the Midland. All right. Luo Mengchang smiled happily. Looking at the other party's charming smile, the gloom that had accumulated in Chu Hen's heart for the past few days was like a dark cloud that was shrouded by the bright and beautiful sunlight. It gradually dissipated, revealing a warm ray of light. He held Luo Mengchang's little hand. Let's go. The Celestial Seal region was located in the farthest south of the southern continent. Moreover, according to the news he had heard in the past few days, it was rumored that the misty sky was a very strange place. There was even a saying, the ends of the world, the ends of the world. It sounded very mysterious. However, there was almost no one who could tell the exact location of the misty sky and where exactly it was. If Chu Hen wanted to reach the immortal seal domain and understand more about ethereal heaven, he still needed some time. By the way, Mengchang, what level of cultivation have you broken through to? His realm seems to be higher than mine? Chu Hen asked as they walked. Someone much taller than you. Heaven's stage great Saint King realm, I. Luo Mengchang blinked her eyes and leaned on Chu Hen's arm like a little girl. So high. Chu Hen was a little surprised, but at the same time felt that it was reasonable. Luo Mengchang was the daughter of the Abyss Emperor. Her bloodline boundary must be pure and powerful. Yes. Luo Mengchang nodded and gave affirmation. After Aunt Yu brought me back to the clan, she ordered the clan elders to help me raise my realm and strengthen the boundary of my bloodline. Now, before I came to find you, my Abyss bloodline had already reached the 8th grade. 8th grade Abyss Holy Body. Chu Hen nodded secretly. According to the classification of the Demon Pupil Holy Body, it should correspond to the 8-star Demon Pupil. This was definitely a very terrifying talent. Just based on the boundary of the Demon Pupil Holy Body's bloodline, Chu Hen was even weaker than Luo Mengchang. After all, according to the status of the two in the Holy Clan, Luo Mengchang was the biological daughter of the Abyss Emperor, while Chu Hen was only the nephew of the Demon Pupil Holy Emperor. There might be a certain difference in the purity of the bloodline. In addition, Luo Mengchang had been promoted by many high-level figures of the Abyss Holy Clan, which was definitely the most suitable for the characteristics of her Abyss Holy Body. Although Chu Hen had many fortuitous encounters, the inheritance power he received was also varied. The power to strengthen the demon pupil was only a part of it. With the combination of various factors, it was normal for Chu Hen's realm to be surpassed by Luo Mengchang. You have to raise your cultivation as soon as possible, otherwise you won't be able to beat me in the future. Luo Mengchang smiled mischievously. Chu Hen laughed dryly. Not to mention that he couldn't beat her, even if he couldn't do it. Wait a minute. Suddenly, Luo Mengchang frowned and suddenly grabbed Chu Hen's hand. What? Chu Hen was stunned. Rumble. As soon as he said that, a violent shockwave like a mountain torrent or tsunami came from the front without any warning. It was like a hurricane passing through, and the mountain range under the two suddenly collapsed and disintegrated. Rocks danced in the air and cracked without restraint. Chu Hen quickly protected Luo Mengchang and quickly leaped into the air, retreating. Who is it? Chu Hen shouted. Buzz, a piercingly cold piercing force fell down. What answered Chu Hen was a black blade of divine radiance that cleaved through the sky. Feeling the powerful aura of destruction coming from the ray of light, Chu Hen was shocked. He hurriedly let go of Luo Mengchang's hand, then raised his hand and sent out a soft palm energy, pushing Luo Mengchang towards a safe area. Screech. At the same time, a strange purple light burst out of Chu Hen's eyes. The moment the formless Emperor Blade was unleashed, thousands of intertwined purple electric arcs immediately turned the formless Emperor Blade into a giant blade that was more than 10 feet long. Chu Hen dragged the giant blade across the air and waved it straight at the falling divine light blade. Bang! The two collided and the space seemed to crack. The heavy noise that broke out was like a thunderclap, exploding into endless dazzling fire rain. The powerful and fierce sword-patterned chi wave spread in all directions, flattening the forest below, and the void above was distorted, shaking uneasily. Chu Hen! Luo Mengchang exclaimed. Looking at Chu Hen, who was safe and sound under the raging and chaotic chi waves, he heaved a sigh of relief. At the same time, on a steep cliff in front of them, a strange figure exuding a powerful aura looked at Chu Hen and Luo Mengchong with a condescending attitude. "You're finally here, I've been waiting for a long time." The man had a playful smile on his face. Chu Hen's eyes turned cold. Looking at the young and playful face of the other party, he could not help but frown. He did not know him at all. It was definitely the first time they had met. Whether it was the appearance or the aura that the other party exuded, it was extremely strange. What made Chu Hen most surprised was that his pair of demon eyes could not see through the trajectory of the true inner force in the other party's body. From a distance, the power that the other party exuded was like the ripples on the water, showing a strange dreamlike state. It was too strange, mysterious and powerful. Even the demon eyes could not see through the power. There was no doubt that the other party was definitely a member of one of the 10 strongest sacred bodies. Chapter 1560. Qianqian, the latest chapter of Divine King Wu Ji. "Who are you?" Chu Hen's eyes flashed with coldness as he looked at the person who had suddenly appeared to stop him. The man's face was filled with contempt. "You want to know who I am? Let's see if you have the ability." Suddenly, the mysterious man clenched his fist. Boom! Accompanied by a vast and piercingly cold shock wave, with it as the center, the mountains and rivers suddenly shattered, and the earth cracked. A torrential, chaotic airflow rose into the sky like a storm. Rumble! An incomparably powerful gravitational force erupted in the void. In an instant, the countless cracked rocks below broke free from gravity and rose into the sky layer by layer. Looking at this scene, Chu Hen's expression changed slightly. What a terrifying aura! The powerful airflow enveloped him like a storm, and the rocks below constantly gathered above his head. Chu Hen felt the true yuan in his body become especially unstable. Even the arm holding the formless emperor blade was faintly trembling. Crack! The hundreds of millions of rocks quickly gathered and arranged themselves, instantly turning into a rock giant over 100 feet tall under the mysterious young man's control. Whoosh! A vast and heavy aura spread out. The rock giant opened his sky-covering hand and pounced at Chu Hen. Feeling the other party's surging majestic aura, Chu Hen's expression changed slightly, and 7 black dots appeared in the depths of his eyes. Whoosh! The 7 black dots rapidly spun and chased after each other. The power of the 7-star demon pupils was instantly activated. Along with a purple demonic flame that could burn the heavens, thousands of purple light beams intertwined and revolved around each other. The tyrannical Nirvana demon spirit suddenly appeared in front of Chu Hen. Pung! The rock giant's incomparably heavy hand collided with the Nirvana demon spirit's sharp claws. The two collided, and a violent shockwave rippled in the sky. The two behemoths were like gods and demons fighting between heaven and earth, displaying earth-shattering momentum. 7-star demon eyes. A frivolous smile appeared on the mysterious young man's face. Then, he condensed his palm in the air again. Boom! A mountain peak on the left suddenly exploded. Along with the distorted and shaking heaven and earth, the entire 1,000-meter-tall pillar was forcibly pulled out of the ground. It was like moving mountains and filling seas. A huge black shadow and oppressive aura immediately enveloped Chu Hen and the Nirvana demon spirit. "Rise!" the mysterious man shouted. With a flick of his wrist, the pillar that was suspended in the sky turned around and pointed its sharp end downward. Be careful! As soon as the indifferent and provocative laughter fell, an incomparably rapid trembling sound, like the roar of wind and thunder, resounded. The huge pillar swept up an endless amount of destructive power as it descended diagonally from the sky, striking towards the Nirvana demon spirit that was fighting fiercely against the rock giant below. Not good. Chu Hen's pupils shrank. He intended to order the Nirvana demon spirit to fly away, but the rock giant directly locked onto the Nirvana demon spirit's arm. Then, the Nirvana demon spirit's eyes, which were like the vast starry sky, exploded with an extremely strong power fluctuation. Swoosh, two purple beams of light flew out from the Nirvana demon spirit's eyes. Endless killing aura was like a sharp arrow that pierced through the sky, firmly hitting the head of the rock giant in front. Bang! The rocks exploded, and the rock giant's head instantly exploded into countless dust fragments. The Nirvana demon spirit took the opportunity to break free from the rock giant's control and immediately retreated. However, at the same time, the falling pillar suddenly exploded with a speed that was several times faster than before. "You can't escape," the mysterious man smiled arrogantly. Boom! An incomparably heavy and violent explosion sounded in the sky, shaking the surroundings. The 1,000-meter-long pillar was like a huge spear that pierced through the sky, firmly hitting the Nirvana demon spirit's body. The terrifying force of 10,000 caddies was completely released. The Nirvana demon spirit was like it had encountered the fierce impact of a meteorite, and was directly smashed down. Bang! The mountain range below rapidly sunk, and billions of rocks flew into the sky, like a vast and mighty herd of startled beasts. The power of the 7-star demon eyes. He was actually unable to withstand 2 rounds of the other party's palm, and was defeated. Chu Hen's heart trembled incomparably. "You're very weak." The mysterious young man's eyes were filled with provocation. Chu Hen's eyes flashed with a cold light. "Who the hell are you?" "Heh," the mysterious man chuckled, raised his palm, and faced Chu Hen's position. Rumble, rocks tumbled, and numerous large and small rocks once again gathered in the sky in front of him. An endless and enormous gravitational force gathered towards the man's palm. Hua! In an instant, a huge rock sphere appeared like a celestial body suspended in the void. Different from the rock giant just now, this rock ball flickered with a dense interwoven black light. Every complicated secret pattern was filled with extremely overbearing and manic power. "You're so weak, you don't even deserve to know my name, Heavenly Meteor Strike." His 5 fingers extended outwards. Swoosh! An incomparably urgent sound of air waves vibrated, and the invisible rhythm of the space overlapped, and the huge rock ball suddenly burst out. The wind roared, and it was like thunder rolling. An especially terrifying and enormous pressure swept towards Chu Hen. In the void, a powerful wind wave dragged out, and the rock ball covered in black secret patterns rubbed against the air, creating a blazing flame. Hum! The ground under Chu Hen once again sank deeply, as if he was under a meteorite, and the true yuan outside his body was abnormally chaotic. Shing! Suddenly, at this moment, a white sword light that pierced through the 9 heavens descended from the sky, and like a divine punishment, it slashed on the black rock ball. Clang! A heavy muffled sound was heard, and the huge rock ball was directly split in the middle by this stunning white sword light. Bang! Bang! The aftermath of the amazing power spread in the area dozens of meters above Chu Hen, and the wanton airwaves were like a storm passing through. The rock ball that was split in half smashed down from the left and right. Dust and debris splashed in a large area. Sacred body of the abyss? The mysterious man's eyelids twitched slightly, and he looked at Luo Mengshang in the sky on the other side with a little surprise. A bright and holy white soft light surrounded Luo Mengshang's body, and she held a shining silver longsword in her hand. The body of the sword shone with star-like light patterns, and Luo Mengshang's temperament was extraordinary, revealing a peerless beauty. Chapter 1561. Ninth Nether Holy Body. Looking at the peerless and extraordinary Luo Mengshang, the mysterious man's eyes flashed with surprise. Hee, boring. Then, the other person smiled faintly and retracted his powerful aura. He looked back at Chu Hen with disdain. "You're so weak that it's disappointing. I thought the son of Chu Hentian and Li Zhixiao would be amazing. It seems like there's no need to take him seriously." Every word was like a pearl. Especially ear-piercing. Chu Hen's complexion changed. His demonic purple pupils were filled with a dense chilliness. "Who exactly are you?" "Heh!" The person laughed even more mockingly. I've already said that someone as weak as you doesn't even have the right to know my name. Perhaps you should be glad that you have an 8th grade 9th nether holy body as your helper. I don't intend to give it my all because you really don't deserve it. Every word was provocative. Every word was sarcastic. The other person's arrogant attitude made Chu-Hen furious. It seems like the Demon Eye Holy Clan really doesn't have the ability to make a comeback. It's almost time to be removed from the top 10 holy clans. Ha 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 ha. He roared with laughter, and then his figure flashed and transformed into a strand of afterimages that leaped into the sky. Remember today's humiliation. You don't have the ability to make us take you seriously at all. A voice filled with ridicule reverberated through the lofty mountains and precipitous ridges, striking Chu-Hen's heart like a heavy hammer. Chu-Hen's expression darkened, as if there was a nameless fire rising in his heart. Are you okay? Luo Mengshang returned to Chu-Hen's side. Her eyebrows were slightly knitted as she worriedly asked. I'm fine. Chu-Hen shook his head, indicating that she didn't need to worry. However, Chu-Hen couldn't calm down. Who is this person? Why does he know my whereabouts like the back of his hand? And also knows my identity? Judging from the other person's behavior, he didn't seem to have any intention of killing me. It seemed like he was purely testing me. Although this kind of test made Chu-Hen particularly unhappy. Can you tell which sacred clan he belongs to? Chu-Hen asked in a deep voice. Luo Mengchang shook her head. Although Luo Mengchang was the daughter of the Abysmal Emperor, she had been in the Holy Abysmal tribe for the past few years. Hence, her interaction with the other tribes was far behind that of Chu-Hen. That person was so powerful. He must be a member of one of the 10 strongest sacred clans. Chu-Hen had seen people from the Star Sacred Clan, Sky Burning Sacred Clan, Great Desolate Sacred Clan, Holy-Eyed Sacred Clan, Antiquity Sacred Clan, and Dragon Blood Sacred Clan. Chu-Hen had some understanding of the characteristics of the power released by these strongest sacred bodies. On top of that, Luo Mengchang was by his side. The other party couldn't be from the Holy Abyss tribe. In that case, it was very likely that this person was a member of the other 2 sacred clans. After all, only the sources of the 10 most powerful sacred bodies would be so accurate. Similarly, only the most powerful sacred clans of the same status would pay attention to Chu-Hen's special identity. Don't think too much. They must be afraid of you. That's why they sent someone to test you. Looking at Chu-Hen's uncertain expression, Luo Mengchang comforted him softly. But I was humiliated. Chu-Hen shook his head and smiled. I knew that he wouldn't be able to defeat you so easily. Just now I was just afraid that you would be injured, so, Luo Mengchang said apologetically. Although the person's realm was much higher than Chu-Hen's real fighting power wasn't what it seemed on the surface. Perhaps the other party's power was indeed a notch higher than Chu-Hen's. However, if he really used all his trump cards, Chu-Hen definitely wouldn't let the other party have an easy time. Luo Mengchang's attack had prevented Chu-Hen from being injured in time. At the same time, she had also given the other party a chance to humiliate him. However, no matter what, Luo Mengchang had hoped that there wouldn't be any more serious consequences. I'm not blaming you. Chu-Hen held Luo Mengchang's slender hand gently. There was a hint of gentleness between his brows. If you hadn't helped me resolve that person's attack just now, I probably wouldn't even be able to stand properly now. Let's hurry to the Celestial Seal region. Okay. Chu-Hen nodded slightly. As he turned around, he couldn't help but look at the horizon where that person had left. As he got to know the 10 strongest sacred clans better, the people he met later on were also stronger. Perhaps it wasn't just one person who had their eyes on him. It was very likely that there were already many pairs of cold eyes hidden in the dark. The road ahead would not become smoother. Instead, it would become more and more difficult. Chu-Hen's eyes turned cold, and he thought to himself, no matter who you are, I'll find you in the future. City of Runes. After another dozen or so days of traveling without rest, after passing through the teleportation transformations between the various provinces of the southern land, Chu Hen and Luo Mengchang finally arrived at this place that was extremely different in terms of geography and culture. It was just like its name, City of Runes. Everything here, big or small, could be related to the runes. For example, the top of the majestic city tower was engraved with many complicated ancient secret scrolls. Most of the things sold on the streets were also items engraved with runes. Moreover, a large number of rune masters gathered here. Even the children on the streets had more or less mastered simple rune technique. The southern continent is indeed the headquarters of rune masters. Almost everyone here knows rune technique. Chu Hen and Luo Mengchang walked on the streets of the City of Runes and were amazed. It was as though studying rune power was as common as eating and sleeping to the people who lived here. Compared to other continents, the number of rune masters here was frighteningly common. Of course, common was common. It did not mean that rune masters were worthless here. Saint level and above rune masters were extremely rare existences no matter where they were. How do we get to the Celestial Seal region? Luo Mengchang asked. Chu Hen smiled. That's simple. Once we're here, we should be able to ask anyone. Then, Chu Hen led Luo Mengchang into a shop called Spirit Treasures Pavilion. Please come in. You've come at the right time. Our shop just shipped a batch of high-quality holy weapons this morning. They were all engraved with runes personally by a Grandmaster-level rune master. Seeing the two enter, a shop assistant quickly went up to greet them warmly. However, seeing that both Chu Hen and Luo Mengchang had extraordinary temperaments, while ordering people to serve tea, he continued, "In addition to sacred tools, we also have divine tools personally forged by saint inscription masters. May I know what kind of weapons the two of you like? I can choose for you." "I don't buy weapons," Chu Hen replied. A hint of disappointment flashed in the shop assistant's eyes. He then said, "Do you have weapons for sale? We have a master who specially evaluates it. We'll definitely give you a higher price than others in the industry." Chu Hen hesitated for a moment, then smiled and said, "Pawning a weapon, that's right." As he spoke, Chu Hen raised his hand and took out a short black dagger. The dagger's shape was similar to the horn of a rhinoceros. It was dark in color and had strange patterns engraved on it. The shop assistant narrowed his eyes and carefully took the dagger from Chu Hen's hand. "Please wait for a moment. I'll send this to the backyard for testing." "Sure." Chu Hen nodded. Then, the shop assistant walked into the shop with the dagger. A pretty young woman served tea and snack. "Why did you sell that thing?" Luo Mengchang was a little puzzled by Chu Hen's actions. "You'll know later." Chu Hen smiled. When he returned to the East region from the Central Land, Dongfang Hengji, the sect master of the martial sect, had ordered Wang Li and Wu Yan to give Chu Hen more than a dozen boxes of treasures. Chu Hen distributed some to Qiao Shaowan, Han Ichuan, and Mu Feng. The rest were given to Kun Liushan. He also kept a box as a spare. That dagger was one of the items that Chu Hen had left behind. In less than half a cup of tea's time, two people hurriedly walked out of the backyard. In addition to the shop assistant, there was another slightly chubby middle-aged man who was older. He was also holding the strange dagger in his hand. "I'm the manager of this shop. Please forgive me if I've neglected the two of you." The middle-aged man's attitude was much better. "No." Chu Hen nodded politely. "I've taken a closer look at this dagger. It's the rhinoceros dagger, ranked 218th on the artifact list. Do you really want to pawn it?" the middle-aged man asked. Chu Hen shook his head slightly. "No." The middle-aged man could not help but exchange glances with the shop assistant behind him. He could not help but look a little lonely. "I'm not selling it. I'll give it to you." "What?" The two people who were thinking about how to persuade Chu Hen were stunned. "Give it to us?" The middle-aged man was puzzled. "That's right," Chu Hen confirmed. "As long as you can answer a few of my questions accurately, I'll give this artifact to you." answer a few questions, and you'll be given a artifact. What kind of a big pie is this? Seeing that Chu Hen did not seem to be joking at all, the middle-aged man immediately understood that he had met a big shot. He immediately agreed. All right, I'll definitely tell you everything I know. All right then. My first question is, where's the misty sky? Misty sky. The middle-aged man was stunned again. He stared at Chu Hen and Lu Shan suspiciously and said with a slight frown, Are you two going to the misty sky? Just answer my questions. The middle-aged man hesitated for a moment and said, I only know that the misty sky is in the deepest part of the celestial seal domain, but I've never been there. Also, the misty sky has always existed in legend. In reality, very few people have been there personally. It's said that it's at the edge of the sea, the end of the world. It's very mysterious. Chu Hen and Luo Mengchang exchanged glances, and could not help but feel a little solemn. However, the people in the celestial seal domain definitely know the entrance to the misty sky. The middle-aged man quickly added. But outsiders are not allowed to set foot in the celestial seal domain. Even people from the City of Runes are not allowed to go near there. So, if the two of you want to find the misty sky, it'll be quite difficult. Which force is in charge of the celestial seal domain? Chu Hen asked. The middle-aged man licked his lips as his eyes surged with respect. He then spat out a few words in a cautious manner. Oracle Palace. Here's the fourth update. On the first day of the month, brothers with basic flowers, please send them. We'll be grateful. Chapter 1562. In 1 second remember, there was no pop-up window for free reading. Arcanum Palace? Chu Hen raised his eyebrows slightly when he heard these 3 words, and his eyes lit up. That's right. The middle-aged manager nodded with respect on his face. The Arcanum Palace is the largest force in charge of the Celestial Seal region. It's also the most powerful overlord in the southern continent. Seeing that Chu Hen and Luo Mengchang did not seem to understand this information, the middle-aged steward continued to narrate. As everyone knows, the southern land is a holy land for the cultivation of runic power. Compared to the other domains and continents, the majority of the southern land's provinces' control has fallen into the hands of the various rune master sections. As an ancient power that has been passed down for 10,000 years, the Heavenly Mystery Palace has an extremely deep foundation. It can be said that it is fully deserving of being the ruler of the southern land. If the two of you are really coming for the misty sky, then you must first pass through the Heavenly Mystery Palace. After a while, Chu Hen and Luo Mengchang came out of the weapon shop. After learning that the Arcanum Palace was the leader of the Rune Masters, Chu Hen, who should have been anxious, felt relieved instead. What's wrong? Luo Mengchang looked at Chu Hen in confusion. The Arcanum Palace won't let us enter the Celestial Seal region so easily, right? You don't seem very worried. Chu Hen smiled. There's an acquaintance. An acquaintance. Luo Mengchang raised her eyebrows slightly. She was even more surprised. Have you been to the southern continent before? No, I met him in the Midland. If he's not bragging, things should be easier. Chu Hen replied. They did not stay in the City of Runes. According to the detailed route given by the shop manager, Chu Hen and Luo Mengchang entered the territory of the Celestial Seal region the next morning. This was an area filled with the aura of runes. It was much more prosperous and lively than the City of Runes. The territory occupied by the Celestial Seal region was also quite vast. There were many ancient cities with great cultural charm scattered across the land. This was especially true when there were forests, mountains, and other natural auras between the major cities. As the holy land of runes in the southern continent, the Immortal Seal region naturally had countless powerful rune masters. On the streets of the city, Heaven rank and Grandmaster rank inscriptionists could be seen everywhere, and even Saint rank inscriptionists were not in the minority. Tianji City, an ancient city in the innermost part of the Celestial Seal region. The towering and imposing city gate tower was especially magnificent. At the top of the city wall there was a huge bell hanging in a pavilion. The giant bell was more than 100 meters tall, and its body was covered in dark green copper. After countless years of being battered by wind and rain, the patterns on the surface of the giant bell had long become indistinct. However, the ancient and desolate aura it emitted was getting stronger day by day. In front of the city gate of Tianji City stood a towering tree that was almost 1,000 meters tall. It was a very strange tree. Its entire body was covered in complicated spell symbols, and its huge crown was opened like a huge umbrella. Every single leaf was shining brightly, as if it was decorated with stars. It's the immortal seal spirit tree. Feeling the powerful rune power and familiar aura that the tree emitted, Chu Hen's eyes were filled with amazement. Such a magnificent and imposing immortal seal spirit tree was actually planted here. It was more or less a reckless waste of natural resources. If it was placed elsewhere, it would probably have caused people to fight over it. Such a huge immortal seal spirit tree was placed here openly. While he was amazed at the generosity of the Tianji Palace, it also proved their majesty. Not long after Chu Hen and Luo Mengchang approached the immortal seal spirit tree, a dozen armed and armored guards directly surrounded them. You two came to the celestial seal region this morning, right? What business do you have? The leader was a handsome middle-aged man. The other party's tone was rather gentle, and did not have an irritating sharpness. After all, they were outsiders. When Chu Hen and Luo Mengchang entered the celestial seal region today, they had already attracted the attention of the various city managers. I'm here to find someone, Chu Hen replied. May I ask who you're looking for? This is an important place in the Tianji city. If outsiders do not have an invitation letter or a token of our sect, they are not allowed to come close. If you're simply looking for someone, please go to other districts. After the middle-aged man asked, he also slightly explained the rules here to Chu Hen. After all, both Chu Hen and Luo Mengchang exuded an aura that was different from ordinary people. It seemed that they had quite a background. Their attitude was more polite. Chu Hen looked up slightly and said loudly, "The person I'm looking for is called Han Yu. He said he's from the Tianji Palace." Han Yu? Hearing this name, the crowd could not help but be stunned. They all looked at Chu Hen with an indescribably strange gaze. What? There's no such person? Chu Hen asked. There is. Hearing the other party's answer, Chu Hen could not help but heave a sigh of relief. He smiled at Luo Mengchang. It seemed that that fellow did not lie to him. May I know your relationship with Han Yu? The middle-aged man asked. We can be considered friends. Tell him that a fellow sect member of the martial sect is here. He should understand. The middle-aged man nodded slightly. He first said to a subordinate behind him, Go and inform Lord Han Yu. Yes. The guard responded. When he turned around, he faintly muttered, He actually has friends. How much courage does he have to be friends with him? Although his voice was soft, but Chu Hen heard it clearly. What was going on? Both of you, please wait here for a while, the middle-aged guard said. Chu Hen nodded. No problem. Is your friend reliable? Why do I feel that these people are looking at you strangely? Luo Mengchang whispered to Chu Hen. I noticed it too. Chu Hen also muttered in his heart. After all, he had only met the other party once. Although they had gone through thick and thin together, it was really hard to say what kind of situation the other party was. How long have the two of you known Lord Han Yu? For some reason, the middle-aged guard took the initiative to start a conversation. Not too long, Chu Hen replied. At the same time, he asked, I don't know much about him. What kind of person is he? If that's the case, then I advise you not to get involved with him. After all, the two of you look normal. Normal? Chu Hen and Luo Mengchang were stunned. Before Chu Hen could ask again, a whirlwind rushed out of the city with a xiao sound. Following that, a familiar voice directly roared over. F***ck Chu-hen. It's really you. I didn't expect you to really come to the Oracle Palace to look for me. Ha 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 ha. Not bad, not bad. I didn't save you from the Fortune Emperor Palace in vain. At least you still have a conscience to come and see me. In the next instant, a young man with a protruding mouth and a cheeks like a monkey's flashed out of the city. As soon as the other party appeared, the guards around him immediately retreated as if they had seen a ghost. They could not hide the disgust in their eyes. Chu-hen's eyes lit up and he laughed heartily. How have you been, Senior Old Een Monkey? Chapter 1563. How have you been, Senior Old Een Monkey? Looking at the skinny young man walking out of Tianji City, Chu-hen greeted him with a smile. Old Een Monkey? Upon hearing this form of address, the surrounding guards immediately rolled their eyes and looked at each other, each of them trying to hold back their laughter. Old Een Monkey squinted his eyes and immediately winked at Chu-hen. Monkey, what monkey? I don't have a name? You even brought your wife? Don't tell me you specially came to invite me to a wedding? You're too polite. You could have just found someone to send me an invitation. Why do you have to come personally? Look at my damn popularity. The eyes of all the guards twitched, and a look of disgust appeared on their faces. Cough, cough. The middle-aged guard cupped his fists at Chu-hen and said, Little brother, we still have something to do. Let old Een. No, Lord Han you personally entertain the two of you. Chu-hen smiled and nodded. Then, the group of guards quickly retreated, muttering softly as they left. Ha ha ha, Old Een Monkey, who gave this name? It's too vivid. Indeed, the name Han Yu is a waste to use on him. Seeing the attitude of the crowd, Chu-hen could not help but feel a little puzzled. It seems like you're quite disliked here? Alas! Old Een Monkey sighed and pretended to be melancholy. You know, geniuses are often lonely. This group of ordinary people naturally can't reach my level of transcendence from the mundane. That's enough. You weren't liked in the martial sect either. How can you say that? If everyone knows me, Han Yu, then what's so special about me? Speaking of which, you're not really here to invite me to a wedding, are you? Your wife is quite beautiful. You have good taste, ha ha. Chu-hen and Luo Mengchang could not help but look at each other and smile. Hello, senior, I'm Luo Mengchang. Not bad, my name is Han Yu. After a simple self-introduction, Old Een Monkey grabbed Chu-hen's arm and said, For so many years, no one has traveled so far to see me. I'm happy today. Come, let's talk inside. With that, Old Een Monkey invited Chu-hen and Luo Mengchang to the Heaven's Secret City. In fact, Chu-hen did not expect Old Een Monkey to be so enthusiastic. This feeling was like finally finding someone to talk to after being isolated by the whole world. Just like when he was in the Fortune Emperor Palace, he was especially talkative. Then, under the guidance of Old Een Monkey, Chu-hen and Luo Mengchang entered Tianji City. It was completely different from what he had imagined. They thought that there would be a wide street in the city, but what they saw was a square. At the back of the square was a stairway that extended upwards. The levels of the Heaven Stairway Great Tao were distinct, just like the ascending platforms. The Old Een Monkey led the two across the plaza and directly stepped onto the grand and spacious step. What do you think? My Tianji City's environment is not bad, right? Chu-hen nodded. It's completely different from what I imagined. The internal structure of the Tianji City was like a huge manor. On both sides of the Heaven Stairway Great Tao were many precious plants and flower fields. The sea of flowers stretched as far as the eye could see, like a gorgeous and colorful ocean. What was most amazing was that behind the sea of flowers there was a strange forest. From afar, those trees were all glistening, as if there were billions of stars decorating the leaves. A strong rune aura filled the entire Tianji City. So many immortal talismans, spiritual trees. Chu-hen said in surprise. You're shocked, right? Do you want me to give you one? Consider it a wedding gift for the two of you. Old Een Monkey patted his chest generously. Luo Mengchang's cheeks were red, and her beautiful eyes looked at Chu Hen with a slight smile. Chu Hen also smiled. He then explained, "It's not too late to give a wedding gift in the future. I came to find you for something else. If there's anything you need, just say it. Leave it all to me," Old Een Monkey said righteously. Chu Hen's eyes flashed with a hint of solemnity. He paused, then said in a deep voice, "I want to go to Misty Sky." Misty Sky. The moment he heard these 3 words, Old Een Monkey paused for a few seconds, then turned to the guards at the city gate and shouted, "You there! Help me send these 2 guests off." "No way," Chu Hen hurriedly pulled Old Een Monkey back. "Didn't you say you'll take care of everything? I really can't help you with this matter. You want to go to Misty Sky the moment you open your mouth, who the hell can resist? I'd rather pull out a few immortal talisman spiritual trees for you. It's not in vain." "Is it that difficult?" "It's not just difficult, it's simply impossible, okay? Didn't you say that you're the 97th generation successor of the Heavenly Mystery Palace? You don't even have this much authority? It's true that I'm the 97th generation successor, but there are hundreds of talented successors like me in the Heavenly Mystery Palace. At most, I'm just a little better than them." Hearing Old Een Monkey's explanation, Chu Hen almost spat out a mouthful of blood. "Is there really no other way? I have to go to the Misty Sky. If you can help me this time, I won't even frown if you need me, Chu Hen, in the future." This. Old Een Monkey had a troubled expression. He bit the corner of his mouth, not knowing what to do. Chu Hen and Luo Mengchang's expressions were somewhat solemn. Judging from the way the guards addressed Old Een Monkey, it seemed that he had some status in the Heavenly Mystery Palace. If even he, an internal member, couldn't handle it, then it would be even more difficult later on. "Tsk." Old Een Monkey smacked his lips, his expression clearly becoming more serious. "Do you know what kind of place the Misty Sky is?" "I'm not sure about the specifics," Chu Hen answered truthfully. "The Misty Sky is an extremely unstable special space. It's like the intersection of several planes and realms. Space collapses often occur inside, and if you want to enter the Misty Sky, the passage you open is connected to the Celestial Seal domain. However, once the space within the Misty Sky collapses, the entire Heavenly Mystery Palace and even the Celestial Seal domain will be affected." Old Een Monkey spoke with extreme caution. "What's more, if the Misty Sky collapses, with your cultivation, you'll be crushed by the space-devouring hole and reverse turbulence in an instant. The chaotic energy inside is something that even an Emperor stage powerhouse can't withstand." After saying this, Luo Mengchang couldn't help but look at Chu Hen worriedly. However, Chu Hen's expression was still resolute. "I have to go to the Misty Sky, sigh. It seems like it's a very important matter." Old Een Monkey sighed and hesitated for a moment. He raised his gaze and said, "I don't have the authority to open the Misty Sky's realm passage for you. This matter is of great importance, and I must ask for the Palace Master's permission." "Then can you take me to see the Palace Master of the Heavenly Mystery Palace?" "I can, but it's a little—" Old Een Monkey crossed his arms in front of him and rubbed his chin with one hand, looking strange. "Forget it, go and try." After saying that, Old Een Monkey waved at the 2 of them, indicating for them to follow him. A moment later, under Old Een Monkey's lead, Chu Hen and Luo Mengchang arrived in front of an extremely luxurious and imposing palace. Before Old Een Monkey could step onto the steps of the main hall, a middle-aged figure with a vigorous aura reached out and stopped him. "Lord Han Yu, where are you going?" the other party said coldly. Old Een Monkey rolled his eyes and seemed to be suppressing his anger. "I say, Protector Guan, I still have a guest behind me. If you stop me like this, I'll lose face." "Haha, is there any room for Lord Han Yu to lose face? Don't you know if you can come here?" The middle-aged man called Protector Guan chuckled. Behind them, Chu Hen and Luo Mengchang could not help but look at each other and see the doubt in each other's eyes. What was going on? Could it be that old Een Monkey did not even have the right to see the palace master? Protector Guan, these two friends of mine have come from far away in the Middle Land. I only want to bring them to see the palace master. Is it necessary for you to stop me from entering? Old Een Monkey argued with him. I'm sorry, Lord Han Yu. It's not that I don't want you to enter, but the palace master doesn't want you to see him. Of course, you can go in if you want, but you have to pass the 10,000 elephants formation first. Go on, go on, go on, go on. If I could break through the 10,000 images formation, would I still be here talking nonsense with you? Humph, please be more respectful when you speak, Protector Guan said coldly. All right, I'll respect you. Old Een Monkey had a helpless expression on his face as he squeezed out a fawning smile. Protector Guan, no matter what, we're old acquaintances. These two friends of mine have really come from afar. How about this, I won't go in and let them go in. Is that okay? After he finished speaking, old Een Monkey pretended to flatter Protector Guan and massaged her shoulders. However, Protector Guan pushed old Een Monkey away ungratefully. Lord Han Yu, if you can't pass the 10,000 elephants formation, I won't let you in. As for the people you've brought, I won't let them disturb Lord Palace Master's cultivation. Also, please stay away, you're an eyesore. Alright. You win. Old Een Monkey forced himself to calm down as he cursed Protector Guan's ancestors in his heart. Then, he turned to face Chu Hen and Luo Mengchang. I'm sorry. Brother, you've seen it with your own eyes. I've already fallen out of favor. Chu Hen frowned and asked in a deep voice, Why can't you see the palace master? Isn't it because I disappeared for many years in search of the Fortune Emperor Palace's ruins? Then, those bootlicker brats said bad things about me in front of the palace master and forcefully pushed me off the pedestal. Lord Han Yu, please touch your conscience and speak. Protector Guan interrupted coldly from not far away. Yes. Old Een Monkey flung his sleeves and said angrily, I'm the one who likes to mess around, okay? Is it wrong for me to study all kinds of talismans and secret techniques? Didn't I just blow up 2 houses? What's so great about that? To be precise, you destroyed 3 main halls, more than 10 pavilions, 17 immortal talismans, spiritual trees, precious plants. Stop. Old Een Monkey hurriedly stopped Protector Guan. Upon hearing this, Chu Hen was speechless. This old Een Monkey was truly a king freak. Just those 17 immortal talismans, spiritual trees, were enough to make him gnash his teeth in hatred. Even though Chu Hen knew that old Een Monkey had many novel ideas in his mind. For example, his martial ancestor realm cultivation technique, North Star Art, was improved and upgraded by him. But to destroy so many immortal talismans, spiritual trees, this was too despicable. No wonder the palace master was so angry that he didn't even want to see him. If Chu Hen was the master of Heaven's legacy city, he would have chased old Een Monkey away long ago. No wonder those guards outside looked like they had seen a ghost and didn't want to talk to him. However, even though he could understand Heaven's Legacy Palace's dislike of old Een Monkey, Chu Hen's purpose of coming here was to smoothly enter the misty sky. He couldn't help but ask, What's the 10,000 images array? It's just a broken array. Old Een Monkey scratched the back of his head and casually explained, That old man was probably hurt by my anger and made this 10,000 images array to make things difficult for me. He said that if I can't break the array, don't look for him in the future. I've tried it a few times, and that 10,000 images array is quite powerful. I was beaten to the point of vomiting blood a few times. After a pause, old Een Monkey's sneaky eyes turned. Chu Hen kid, your cultivation should have improved a lot in this period of time, right? Chu Hen was startled at first, then his eyes lit up. What do you mean? Why don't the two of us work together and see if we can break that broken array? With that, Old Een Monkey turned to Protector Guan and said, "I'll find someone to break the array with me. You don't have any objections, right?" "Find someone to go with you?" Protector Guan was slightly astonished. She immediately looked at Chu Hen, who was behind the other party, and could not help but sneer. "I don't care who you find. However, you should understand that the 1,000-elephant array is not something that can be broken with more people." I don't need you to remind me, I know it better than you." Looking at Old Een Monkey's attitude, Chu Hen secretly shook his head. With his ruffian temper, it would be strange if he didn't offend him. 10,000 images array. Chu Hen's gaze focused, and a hint of caution and anticipation surged between his brows. "Chu Hen kid, you better think it through. If you break the array with me, there's a high chance that you'll be injured." Old Een Monkey turned around and said seriously, "Will I be able to see the palace master of the mysterious heavenly palace if I break the array?" "Don't worry about that. As long as I succeed, I'll definitely let you see that old man. However, I can't guarantee that you'll be able to convince him to open the passage to the misty sky." "All right. I promise to break the 10,000 images array with you," Chu Hen answered resolutely. To him, the misty sky was something he absolutely had to go to. Even if there was only a glimmer of hope, he still had to try. That's all for today. I came back a little late. Chapter 1564. 1 second to remember. Wonderful pop-up window free reading. Heavenly Mystery Palace. At the peak of a giant mountain in the west. Vientiane Square. The majestic square was like a towering Zhai Xing pavilion, extremely grand and magnificent. At this moment, more and more people were gathering around the square. "I heard that Han Yu is going to break the 10,000 elephants array again? Hey, how many times has it been? Didn't he break a few ribs the last time? Did he forget the pain when he healed so quickly? It's different this time. I heard that he found an outsider to help and the two of them are going to break the array together." Outsider? Only he can do such a thing. If he finds our heavenly mystery palace for help, there is still a glimmer of hope. After all, everyone knows the 10,000 elephants array better. Isn't an outsider just asking to be humiliated? If he wants to find someone from the heavenly mystery palace, he needs to have someone willing to help him. Ha, that's the main reason. Listening to the discussions around him, Chu Hen could not help but shake his head. It was hard to imagine that the Old Een Monkey's popularity was so bad. In the past, when he was not welcomed in the martial sect, Chu Hen only thought that the other party was looking for the key to open the Fortune Emperor Palace and had no intention of getting to know others. He did not expect that he would be so disliked in his own hometown, the Heavenly Mystery Palace. On the contrary, the Old Een Monkey looked indifferent. "Chu Hen kid, when we break the array, you must listen to my instructions. You only need to assist me." After all, with the experience of previous failures, the Old Een Monkey did not seem nervous. "Do you need me to go with you?" At this time, Luo Mengshang asked. "No need." The Old Een Monkey refused without thinking and explained, "The power of the 10,000 elephants array changes according to the number of people breaking the array. It is not that the more people there are, the easier it is to break the array. Actually, I was so close to breaking the array last time, so I lacked someone to cover me." After saying that, the Old Een Monkey flicked his hand and patted Chu Hen's arm. Speaking of which, you came just in time to help me recover some lost ground and regain some face for the sect's 99th generation successor." The other party even dared to mention the 97th successor. Chu Hen shook his head helplessly. If he didn't know Old Een Monkey's abilities, he wouldn't have dared to bet on him. "I have a friend who is as shameless as you." "Oh?" Old Een Monkey's eyes brightened. "There's such a pure and fresh existence like me in the world?" "Yes, his name is Mu Feng. He's exactly the same as you. I even suspect that you two are blood brothers who have been separated from each other. If there's a chance, I'll introduce you to him." Well said, well said. At this moment, a few dignified figures walked into the center of the square. Looking at the newcomer, Chu Hen couldn't help but narrow his eyes, and a cautious expression appeared on his face. All of them were emanating powerful Reiki energy waves. Every move they made had the transcendent aura of a grandmaster. They're here, they're here. It's these old fellows who have been making things difficult for me. Old Een Monkey said in a low voice. They are all very powerful inscriptionists. Luo Mengchang said softly. Yes. 3 mortal rank Great Saint Inscription Masters, 2 earth rank Great Saint Inscription Masters, and 1 heaven rank Great Saint Inscription Master. It corresponded to Wu Xiu's realm. Above the Saint Inscription Master, there were also Great Saint Inscription Masters. Powerful existences who had reached this level could also use an extremely large amount of Reiki energy to create a rune domain power that belonged to them. However, because of the uniqueness of inscriptionists, there were very few people who could become Great Saint Inscription Masters in this world. Now, 6 Great Saint Inscription Masters had appeared in front of Chu Hen at once. This was enough to show the majestic heritage and strength of the Heavenly Mystery Palace. As soon as these people appeared, the atmosphere inside and outside the square became a lot quieter. The leader was a slightly chubby old man with half-white hair. He glanced outside the square and asked faintly, "Where's the person who broke the array?" This. Old Een Monkey stood up and pushed Chu Hen. "Follow him." Chu Hen nodded at Luo Mengchang. "I'm going over." Luo Mengchang smiled faintly. "Be careful, don't get hurt." "Okay." After saying that, under the envious gazes of the surrounding people, Chu Hen followed Old Een Monkey to the center of the square. "Is that Han Yu's helper? He doesn't seem to stand out. But the female companion who came with him is very beautiful. It's a pity to follow such a person." Luo Mengchang's beauty, no matter where, could not be ignored. Although there were many beauties in the Heavenly Mystery Palace, it was hard to find someone as stunning as Luo Mengchang. A trace of jealousy, coupled with the fact that he was Old Een Monkey's helper, caused the people of the Heavenly Mystery Palace to not be particularly friendly to Chu Hen. Everyone was waiting to see the two of them embarrass themselves when breaking the array. Third Elder. Old Een Monkey walked in front of the chubby old man, his frivolous attitude slightly restrained. "This is my partner. Junior Chu Hen greets the elders of the Heavenly Mystery Palace." Chu Hen cupped his fists and bowed humbly. "Common rank Great Saint King Stage, Level 7 Saint Inscription Master." The old man saw through Chu Hen's cultivation base with a glance, and a trace of surprise appeared on his face. Although it's not rare to cultivate both martial spirit and spirit, it's rare to reach such a level at your age. There was a hint of praise for Chu Hen in his words. However, the other elders of the Heavenly Mystery Palace did not think highly of Chu Hen. The many disciples of the Heavenly Mystery Palace outside the square did not pay much attention to it. Although it's rare to cultivate both martial spirit and spirit to such a level, in terms of both aspects, he doesn't have an advantage. That's right, a common rank Great Saint King Stage is not bad, but a level 7 Saint Inscription Master is only slightly above average in our Heavenly Mystery Palace. This is far from Han Yu's level. I really don't understand. This Han Yu found a helper who's worse than him and still wants to break through the 1,000 Elephant Formation. Is this a joke? Let's wait and see. Maybe there's something special. Before that, I need to remind you. The third elder of the Heavenly Mystery Palace looked at the Old Een Monkey and said, "You've already failed 4 times. This 5th time will be your last time." "It can't be? The last time?" The Old Een Monkey was puzzled. "That's right, we've already wasted too much time on you. Every time you activate the 1,000 Elephant Formation, it consumes a huge amount of resources and disturbs the cultivation of others. If you fail this time, what will happen?" the Old Een Monkey asked. "If you fail again this time, I'll expel you from the Heavenly Mystery Palace." Word by word. Incomparably clear. F***, are you serious? The old monkey jumped up in shock. Third Elder, are you joking with me? I'm not in the mood to joke with you. You know very well how many sect rules you've violated. If it wasn't for the palace master, I would have expelled you from the sect long ago. If you succeed, all the prohibitions on you will be lifted. If you fail, you will have to bear the consequences. With that said, the old monkey couldn't help but panic a little. The many disciples of the heavenly mystery palace outside were instead whispering to each other in schadenfreude. The upper echelons of the heavenly mystery palace have finally made the wisest choice. This guy should have left long ago. In the future, the Heaven's Legacy City can finally become peaceful. The pressure is a little great. The old monkey licked the corner of his mouth, then turned his gaze to Chu Hen. Brother, in order to fight for an opportunity for you, Big Brother has even lost his life. Do you have any confidence? Chu Hen never thought that things would suddenly turn out like this. He paused for a moment, and a hint of determination flashed across his eyes. I can't guarantee anything else, but I can tell you clearly that I won't drag you down, all right? The old monkey let out a deep breath. A strong sense of caution surged out from between his brows as he faced the third elder and said, Come! Chapter 1565. The fifth attempt at the 10,000 images array. If he succeeded, all the restrictions on old monkey would be lifted. If he failed, he would be expelled from the heavenly mystery palace. The moment this announcement was made, it immediately caused an uproar. Almost everyone was already quietly applauding. In the eyes of the crowd, old monkey was playing with fire and getting burned. Especially when old monkey agreed, the square became even more noisy. He actually agreed so readily. Does this guy think he's not dead enough? The heavenly mystery palace has had enough of him. This kind of tumor should have been removed long ago. Ha 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 ha, this time he's definitely going to play himself to death. At the same time, the 5 great saint inscription masters behind the third elder had already walked to 5 different locations in the center of the square. The 5 of them were like the 5 corners of a pentagram. Chu Hen and old monkey stood in the center. They were about 1,000 meters away from the 5 people around them. Are you ready? The third elder asked in a stern voice. Old monkey slanted his eyes and asked Chu Hen beside him, Are you ready? Chu Hen nodded solemnly. Then let's begin. Old monkey rubbed his palms. It could be seen that he was still a little nervous. After all, it was different from the previous few times. This time, he could truly feel the pressure. The third elder's gaze swept across the 5 people. Activate the 10,000 images array. Yes. The 5 people immediately obeyed. In the next moment, everyone's eyes turned cold. Along with the powerful aura that erupted from their bodies, waves of boundless and mighty spiritual energy gushed out from their Niwen palace. In an instant, the universe trembled and dark clouds covered the sky. The rapid and powerful waves of air were like a storm. Chu Hen only felt that he was in the center of the storm. The space around him was shaking and twisting uneasily. Buzz! In the next instant, numerous gorgeous and resplendent talisman markings suddenly appeared beneath their feet. Like crisscrossing, the earth spirit vines rapidly extended towards the outer area. In an instant, they extended to a diameter of 1,000 meters, occupying the entire center of the square. Swish! Swish! The 5 great saint inscription masters in 5 different directions were constantly making a series of complicated hand seals. Thousands of dazzling runes twinkled like stars in the sky. Under the control of the 5 people, the gorgeous runes quickly condensed into thousands of rays of light, which connected with the mysterious runes on the ground. When the entire array pattern was completely connected, the moment the last stroke was completed, the 5 people suddenly pointed their hands downward, squatted down, and pressed their palms into the ground. 10,000 elephants formation, rise, rise! The 5 of them shouted in unison. Buzz, the earth quaked and the mountains shook. Under the gazes that were filled with amazement, the mysterious rune array on the ground in the center of the square rotated like an ancient totem light wheel. Countless rays of light blossomed from within. Like a spatial gate connecting the earth to the ground, a huge cylindrical tower slowly rose from the ground. Chu Hen, who was in the center of the formation, narrowed his eyes and looked around cautiously. A circular wall fortress rose from the surroundings, locking the two of them in place. A shadow quickly shrouded them. Everything around the square was quickly isolated. In just 20 seconds, a cylindrical tower that pierced the sky directly appeared above the 10,000 elephants square. A mighty wave of air swept out. The invisible wave of air caused the entire square to become especially restless. Inside the tower, Chu Hen and the old Een monkey seemed to be separated into another space. The huge space inside the tower was somewhat dark and cold. There were ice-cold walls all around and there was no exit. The top of the tower was also sealed above their head. It was quiet, deathly silent. Chu Hen frowned slightly, looking at the old Een monkey. "This is the 10,000 elephants formation? It hasn't started yet," the old Een monkey said in a deep voice. Buzz, as soon as his voice fell, a strange energy fluctuation suddenly appeared on the surrounding walls. Then, the walls actually caved in at a speed visible to the naked eye. The densely packed squares were arranged neatly on the walls. Inside the square lattice were many strange-looking stone statues. "This is..." Chu Hen clenched his fists, his eyes filled with vigilance. Tens of thousands of squares. There was a stone statue in each of the squares. Strange of every description. Most of them were stone statues of demonic beasts and monsters, but there were also a small number of human statues. Buzz. In the next instant, a steady stream of spatial rhythm assaulted him from all directions. Under Chu Hen's still dignified gaze, the stone statues on the wall all opened their eyes. Pairs of eyes filled with demonic aura stared at the two people in the tower like sharp arrows. It was like being stared at by countless pairs of dark eyes in the dark night. It made one's scalp tingle. "It's about to start," the old Een monkey said in a deep voice. Just as his voice fell, an incomparably fierce and cold current rose up in the huge tower. It was like an undercurrent from the deep sea, rapid and cold. "Go away!" Along with the old Een monkey's shout, there was an incomparably heavy explosion. The ground under the two people's feet suddenly cracked open. An octopus tentacle that was tens of meters long rushed out of the ground without any warning, sweeping towards the two people. The cold wind whistled, the air waves stacked up. The ice-cold tentacle contained a tremendous force, emitting an extremely powerful killing power. Chu Hen and the old Een monkey, one on the left and one on the right, retreated. The stones that flew recklessly mixed with the chaotic air waves flew towards the two people. Buzz. Without waiting for Chu Hen to stabilize his body, a sharp wind-breaking power came from behind. Chu Hen's eyes trembled. He immediately turned his head, and what entered his eyes was a fierce tiger with two wings on its back. Looking at the fierce tiger that was constantly enlarging in his eyes, Chu Hen's mind moved. Countless rays of purple lightning like rays of light poured out from his body. Crack! In the next second, a rapid and gorgeous purple lightning beam burst out from the palm of Chu Hen's right hand, like the cloud-piercing divine light. The purple light beam directly penetrated the huge body of the winged tiger. Roar! The ferocious tiger let out a deep roar, and its huge body also flew out. But immediately after, the sound of sharp energy tearing through the air appeared again on the left and right. Wu Li, a three-eyed wolf emitting a savage aura and a dark-winged falcon with a completely black body extended their incomparably sharp claws and teeth towards Chu Hen at the same time. Chu Hen's eyes moved back and forth. Swish! A string of electric arcs appeared in the air, leaving behind an afterimage. Bang! With a muffled sound, the fierce wolf and falcon collided, their sharp teeth and claws digging into each other's body, splattering a scarlet rain of blood. "Is this an illusion or a living thing?" Seeing the blood spurting out, Chu Hen's face revealed some astonishment. At this time, the old Een monkey was also surrounded by a group of demonic beasts. While resisting, he reminded Chu Hen, the 10,000 elephant array is a combination of a killing array and an illusion array. Although these things are illusions, they are integrated with the blood essence and vitality of a living body, so they have substantial lethality. And they look no different from living fierce beasts. Chu Hen slightly narrowed his eyes, and could not help but secretly exclaim. No wonder it was an array that was jointly activated by 5 great saint inscription masters. This 10,000 elephant array was really incredible. It felt like he was really in a group of fierce beasts, making it difficult to distinguish between real and fake. Chapter 1566. 1 second to remember. Wonderful pop-up window free reading. Heavenly Mystery Palace. At this moment, they were immersed in an indescribable atmosphere. Say nervous. However, not many people's heartstrings were taut. Wanxiang Square. A cylindrical tower that reached the clouds was like a towering pillar that supported the 9 heavens. The square was already surrounded by people. Everyone's gazes were fixed on the strange-looking grand tower in front of them. The inside of the pagoda was completely sealed off. Chu Hen and old Een monkey were unable to see what was happening outside. And what was surprising was that the people outside the square could clearly see the situation inside. From the outside, the walls of the tower appeared to be illusory and translucent. Through the illusory wall, everyone could see everything that was happening inside. Hey, how long do you think Han you can last this time? Even though they were all members of the Heavenly Mystery Palace, they were completely enjoying the misfortune of the old Een monkey, who was different from the rest. Last time he lasted for the time it takes to drink a cup of tea. This time it won't be longer than that. I think this time it will be about half a cup of tea. Last time it was 1 person, this time it's 2 people. The power of the Wanxiang formation has doubled. Even though there are 2 of them, it won't be of much use. That's right. In the Wanxiang formation, 1 plus 1 is less than 2. Han you definitely won't be able to last time. Thinking about how he's going to be expelled from the Heavenly Mystery Palace, I'm a little reluctant. The one who said reluctant, can you not laugh so happily? There didn't seem to be much malice. But everyone just didn't like the old Een monkey. So much so that everyone present felt that the old Een monkey and Chu Hen would lose without a doubt. In the Wanxiang formation, inside the dark and cold giant tower, Chu Hen and the old Een monkey had already fallen into the encirclement of many ferocious beasts. Even though it was an illusion, but to set up this Wanxiang formation, it was fused with the essence blood and spiritual yuan of countless ferocious beasts. The illusions it produced were almost no different from real living beasts. Especially the blood that splattered out and the cold stench that was spat out, it was as if it was real. Roar, giant beasts roared, and all kinds of ferocious creatures launched fierce attacks at Chu Hen. Whoosh! Chu Hen summoned the formless Emperor Blade and charged into the horde of beasts, setting off a fierce massacre. The sword danced in the sky and lightning flickered. One after another, lightning sword moves traversed the sky like divine rainbows that pierced through the sun, and they chopped and shattered the ferocious beasts that pounced at them. Flying immortal sword, chi chi chi. Over 10 humanoid-shaped strands of violet sword chi appeared successively in the heavens and the earth, and they were like rays of light that flashed through the sky while leaving afterimages behind. Every single ferocious beast that was struck by these humanoid-shaped strands of sword chi had their flesh split open and their limbs severed. It could be said that Chu Hen's every move saw blood, and every sword took a life. Ferocious beasts were slaughtered one after another. What a beautiful sword move! He does have some spirit. I underestimated him. Looking at Chu Hen's stunning opening in the Wanxiang array, many disciples of the Heavenly Mystery Palace were somewhat surprised. And, compared to Chu Hen's killing style, the old Een monkey seemed a bit strange. Facing the siege of many ferocious beasts, the old monkey directly jumped up and down, like a chased flea, hopping here and there. However, although the old monkey's actions were very strange, the other party's dodging was especially accurate and on point. Bang! A giant bear swung its millstone-sized heavy claw at the old monkey. The latter dodged with a wrestling style, rolling and crawling to the side of the giant bear's hind leg. Then, the old monkey raised his hand and flipped it over. Along with a burst of intense Reiki energy fluctuations, a few mysterious runes flashed out from his palm. The old monkey flipped his hand and hit the giant bear's right leg joint with the runes. The runes that touched the giant bear's right leg suddenly burst out with an extremely restless energy fluctuation. Hee hee, go to hell! The old monkey laughed eerily and immediately leaped out. In the next moment, an incomparably heavy and violent explosion sounded out. The earth cracked and a berserk wave of air swept out. The giant bear immediately flew out and heavily smashed into the ground, its entire right leg directly blown to pieces. Then, a cold and fishy wind blew over. A giant horned snake covered in green scales rushed in front of the old monkey, opening its large mouth that was flowing with venom and pouncing down. Fuck, you earthworms still want to eat me! The old monkey raised his hand and threw out a few dazzling runes. The runes flew into the giant snake's mouth, and with another bang, a loud sound rang out. A cloud of blood mixed with red and white flesh surged out, and the giant snake's head was directly blown to pieces. Little thing, you still want to fight with me? Watching the old monkey indiscriminately bombarding the old monkey, the corner of the third elder's eyes couldn't help but twitch outside the Wanxiang array. This bastard simply refuses to mend his ways. From his point of view, the old monkey was simply not a thing. Everyone knew that a rune master used Reiki energy to condense runes, and then arrange them to create a series of mysterious rune techniques that gave rise to a mystical power. And the higher the level of the runes, the more powerful the power contained within. In particular, the runes condensed by a great saint rune master were extremely destructive. When arranging any kind of rune technique, there couldn't be any mistake. Once the runes were arranged incorrectly, it would cause the rune power to repel each other, resulting in a violent impact. If the consequences were serious, the rune power that was not controlled could even backfire on the runemaster, resulting in irreversible consequences. Therefore, the correct arrangement of the runes was the most important and necessary commandment and warning for all runemasters in the world. However, what the old monkey had just done was to deliberately arrange the runes incorrectly, instantly causing the runes to repel each other, causing the rune power to wantonly spill out. Although he had achieved good results a few times, but once there was a deviation, the one to suffer would be the old monkey himself. A normal arrangement of runes would not harm oneself no matter what, but the old monkey's actions would cause him to lose his life if he was the slightest bit careless. It was precisely this kind of behavior that was forbidden to all runemasters that the old monkey was playing with wind and water. Coupled with the other party's despicable expression, it immediately caused many of the upper echelons of the Heavenly Mystery Palace to be furious. What a sin! Our Heavenly Mystery Palace has a 10,000-year reputation. How could we produce such a bastard? If not for his status, the third elder might really have scolded him. Look at the third elder's expression, he should be quite angry. The crowd outside whispered. How can he not be angry? Han Yu likes to play with fire. Randomly arranging runes is a taboo for runemasters. If he does this, sooner or later, something will happen. Sooner or later. Enough things have happened. This scourge should be sent away as soon as possible. It's safer for us. In the Wanxiang formation, the old monkey naturally could not see the people outside who were gnashing their teeth in hatred. He was still jumping up and down in the midst of the many vicious beasts' attacks. From time to time, he would throw out a dozen or so saint-level runes that were purposely arranged incorrectly. Then, He would use the repulsive force between the runes to cause an area of effect violent power to explode one ferocious beast after another. Although this unconventional move was extremely hateful, the effect was surprisingly good. After all, the runes that were casually thrown did not need to be arranged at all. It was almost equivalent to an instant release of power. "Chu-hen brat, can you still hold on?" the old Een monkey shouted. "Don't worry about me." Chu-hen's aura was biting cold. A sword of frost spread in all directions. The swift and fierce purple electric sword light was like a myriad of rays of light that swept out with an endless killing power. Chi-chi-chi, a rain of blood danced in the air. The lightning interweaved like a net, piercing through the bodies of huge vicious beasts one after another. Hee, I'm relieved to hear that. However, the further it goes, the stronger the Wanxiang formation becomes. You have to be careful. I'm still waiting for you to persevere until I use my ultimate move. Chapter 1567. Big Move? Hearing the conversation between old Een Monkey and Chu-hen in the Wanxiang formation, the people of the Heavenly Mystery Palace couldn't help but be startled, but then they revealed looks of disdain. Big move. Is there a hole in this guy's brain? The power of the Wanxiang formation will only get stronger and stronger. Later, he won't even have a chance to resist. How can he use big moves? You believe the words of a madman? That's not necessarily true. To be honest, although Han Yu has done some shameful things, I have to admit that the palace master still likes him a lot. It's good to like him, after all. This guy isn't completely flawed. However, if he fails again this time, no matter how much the palace master protects him, he will have to pack up and leave. That's very likely. Old Een Monkey's thoughts were very strange. What he liked the most was to break the rules and take the unconventional path. However, he was too uncontrollable, causing trouble every 2 or 3 days, which was why the Heavenly Mystery Palace had such a headache. Boom! Bang! In the Wanxiang formation, a fierce battle was taking place inside the completely sealed giant tower. Chu-hen's sword was still like a rainbow, killing fiercely. All kinds of incomparably stunning moves caused the people of the Heavenly Mystery Palace to secretly exclaim in admiration. One by one, the bodies of the fierce beasts fell to the ground. Fresh blood flowed out, limbs flew, and it was especially bloody and cruel. However, if one looked closely, they would find that the bodies of the fierce beasts that had died at the beginning had unknowingly turned into countless crystal fragments and dissipated on the ground. As time passed, the speed of the manifestation array's operation gradually increased. Chu-hen could clearly feel that the strength of the fierce beasts he was facing was much stronger than at the beginning. Moreover, their appearance was more ferocious and domineering. Even so, for the extremely experienced Chu-hen, he did not feel too much pressure. On the other hand, old Een Monkey was the first to show signs of being unable to hold on. Under the siege of so many fierce beasts, old Een Monkey's counterattacks became much less frequent. From the looks of it, he probably won't be able to hold on for half a cup of tea's time. I've already said it before. If 2 people try to break the formation, they'll have to endure double the pressure of the 10,000 elephant formation. Furthermore, the number of illusions gathered in the 10,000 elephant formation is especially large. Even 2 people with the best tacit understanding would not be able to cooperate with each other. In the eyes of the people of Heavenly Mystery Palace, there was not much suspense in the outcome. Outside the arena, Luo Mingxiang's beautiful eyes rippled slightly. She was still a little worried as she looked at Chu-hen inside. After all, for him, it was not as simple as helping old Een Monkey successfully break the array. It could be said that neither of them could afford to lose. Bang! A mighty and heavy purple tornado suddenly spread over the 10,000 elephants formation. The incomparably domineering purple lightning vortex swept out in all directions with an earth-shattering momentum. Wherever it went, the beasts felt as if they had been hit by a tremendous force. The huge beasts were like evil creatures that had been burned by the flames of hell, and they were burned to ashes amidst shrill roars. That is? The eyes of the third elder of Heavenly Mystery Palace narrowed, and a bit of surprise appeared on his face. In the 10,000 elephant formation, Chu Hen's entire body was swaying with incomparably violent purple lightning. The formless emperor blade in his hand erupted with the power of wind and rain. Under his sword, numerous beasts were cut apart like melons and vegetables. Blood splattered in the sky. And in the process of fighting against the group of fiends, Chu Hen was also secretly observing the characteristics of the formation's operation. He was surprised to find that every time a beast was killed, one of the stone statues in the square on the surrounding walls would close its eyes, and the light emitted would also dim. 10,000 elephant formation. The tens of thousands of stone statues in the square on the wall. There was definitely a connection. Chu Hen boy. At this moment, old Een Monkey, who was surrounded by many beasts, suddenly shouted, "Attack the stone statues on the wall behind you, Hua!" As soon as these words came out, the hearts of the Heavenly Mystery Palace disciples outside the formation were all shocked. Chu Hen's eyes turned cold, flashing with a touch of purple lightning. Without any hesitation, Chu Hen raised a biting cold sword momentum, charging towards a giant steel-armored earth dragon pouncing at him from behind. That earth dragon swung its giant claws at Chu Hen. The sharp claws were like sharp hooks. Whoosh, tearing through the air, just as the opponent's claws were less than 2 meters away from Chu Hen. Crack! A string of rapid lightning arcs appeared in the air. Chu Hen suddenly burst out with even more astonishing speed, instantly dodging the opponent's giant claws. The formless emperor blade in his hand interweaved with endless beautiful lightning. Bang! In the next moment, lightning flashed, shaking the sky. Chu Hen wielded his sword, firmly striking the center of that steel-armored earth dragon's giant body, without the slightest pause. Accompanied by a rain of blood and flesh, Chu Hen directly pierced through the opponent's body. In front of Chu Hen's lightning momentum, the copper-like steel armor was as fragile as a thin piece of paper. Roar! A mournful roar came from behind, but Chu Hen did not have any intention of turning around. In the void, he continuously leaped and flashed, like a shadow, flashing with the fastest speed to the edge of the giant tower's wall. Whoosh! Waves of air trembled. He swung his sword. An earth-shattering sword light that spanned over 1,000 feet slashed across the sky and landed on the dark wall. Bang, bang, bang! When Chu Hen's sword descended, it was as swift and fierce as a rainbow. The terrifying lethality instantly caused the hundreds of stone statues in the square to shatter into pieces. Thousands of fragments splashed and exploded. A square space immediately appeared on the wall of the huge tower. Then, along with the destroyed stone statues, something surprising happened. The number of giant beasts attacking the two of them in the pagoda suddenly decreased by a large amount. Like shattered ice crystals, they scattered into dust, fluttering in the air. There was a connection between the two. Chu Hen's eyes lit up. "Continue. Destroy as much as you can," Old Een Monkey shouted. "Understood." Following that, Chu Hen, one move after another, continuously unleashed thunderous sword moves that were like a storm. Like a divine punishment, sword chi filled the air, one after another. Purple sword beams that could cleave the heaven and earth wantonly hit the surrounding walls. Boom! Bang! A series of chaotic sword chi splashed. Wherever the peerless sharpness of the formless emperor blade went, a large number of stone statues turned into dust. The square on the wall was quickly swept clean. One after another, the fierce beasts in the tower, as if they were under the body-fixing spell, turned into dust and dissipated. Without a doubt, the speed of clearing the fierce beasts in the formation was too fast. A casual sword strike could kill dozens or even hundreds of fierce beasts. However, when the people of the Heavenly Mystery Palace outside the Wanxiang formation saw Chu Hen being so cruel and ruthless, they all shook their heads and sneered. their faces revealing a bit of playfulness. Sure enough, you can't get too close to people like Han Yu, you'll be tricked to death. Ha ha, after today, this friend from afar will probably have to cut off all ties with Han Yu. That's right, as his friend, it really is too pitiful. And, after Chu Hen had destroyed thousands of stone statues, suddenly, the inside of the giant tower suddenly shook with an unprecedentedly powerful spatial rhythm. Oh. Woo! In an instant, the stone statues on the other walls all exploded with especially dazzling light. Every stone statue's eyes flickered with an incomparably fierce aura. It was as if an ancient evil creature that had been sleeping had been resurrected. Accompanying the ominous evil aura that hid the sky and covered the earth, balls of light shockingly appeared around Chu Hen. Every ball of light was filled with an extremely cold aura. Then, countless ferocious beast shadows directly surrounded Chu Hen. Among them, there were a few spirit giants wearing armor, but their bodies and limbs were like green flames. Chu Hen's expression changed slightly, even he faintly felt his scalp go numb. Xing, without giving Chu Hen the slightest chance to recover, a few giant guards wearing armor with dark green flames inside raised their sharp spears and attacked Chu Hen. The air was torn apart. The spear light was like rain. It emitted a murderous aura that was colder than any fierce beast. Chu Hen's heart was slightly startled. He raised his hand and a swift and fierce sword aura met the incoming attack. Clang, the sharp rain of spear light and the thunder and lightning sword energy collided, the mighty and powerful air waves stacked wantonly, and the chaotic shock waves spread all over the sky. Together with the shattered sword energy, the thousands of spear shadows fell with the power of wind and thunder. So strong! Chu Hen was shocked, and quickly turned into a beam of afterimages to dodge. But just as he dodged the attack of the spear light, a dark blue poisonous scorpion stinger behind him like a chain across the sky. The corner of Chu Hen's eyes slanted, and he slashed backhand with his sword. Ding! With a crisp sound, a series of sparks splashed in the air. At the same time that Chu Hen bounced off the poisonous scorpion stinger, his arm was also faintly numb. What level of monster was this? Chu Hen's expression changed again and again. The strength gap with those fierce beasts before was too big. They were not on the same level at all. In an instant, a series of incomparably fierce attacks began to target Chu Hen, all kinds of powerful forces like a tsunami, firmly suppressing Chu Hen's aura. On the other hand, Old Een Monkey's side was still the same as before. The ones besieging him were all ordinary fierce beasts and guards, and the number of fierce beasts around him had decreased a lot. Chu Hen boy, hold on! Old Een Monkey shouted. They were both inside the 10,000 elephant formation, but two completely different treatments. The people outside the 10,000 elephant formation were somewhat gloating. I guess that friend from afar must be feeling very wronged. Ha 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 ha, get used to it. If I didn't cheat people, I wouldn't be called Han Yu. Why is it like this? At this time, Luo Mengchang turned to ask an unfamiliar Heavenly Mystery Palace disciple not far away. The Heavenly Mystery Palace disciple was obviously stunned. He did not expect Luo Mengchang to talk to him. Looking at the other party's devastatingly beautiful face, the disciple actually blushed a little, and then stammered, It's the 10,000 elephant formation, a self-protection restriction. Protection restriction? Luo Mengchang raised her eyebrows slightly, somewhat surprised. Yes, the 10,000 elephant formation is one of the most complicated formations in our sect. Although destroying those stone statues can speed up the process of breaking the formation, it will also trigger the protection restriction. The most powerful fierce beasts in the 10,000 elephant formation will appear in advance, and then besiege the destroyer. Your friend was obviously tricked by Han Yu. The other party replied. Then how can we break the formation? Luo Mengchang asked. Chapter 1568. Then how do we break the formation? Luo Mengchang casually asked the Heavenly Mystery Palace disciple beside her. The The Heavenly Mystery Palace disciple hesitated for a moment before replying, "We have to find the array spirit." Formation spirit? Yes. Although Luo Mengchang was an outsider, the disciple did not put up his guard at all. Faced with her question, he blushed a little and felt a little uncomfortable. The formation spirit is hidden in those stone statues. As long as we destroy the formation spirit, we can break the formation. However, there are 9,999 stone statues in the 1,000 images formation. If we want to find the formation spirit hidden in them, it will be harder than ascending to the heavens. I see. Luo Mengchang nodded and smiled politely. Thank you, but I believe they'll find the formation spirit. She smiled sweetly, her eyes bright and clear. After she finished speaking, Luo Mengchang turned around and looked at the manifestation formation. As for the Heavenly Secrets Palace disciple, he stood there in a daze. His companions who were accompanying him surrounded him and teased him. Hee, what did she tell you? Brat, you're too bold. You've betrayed us and even revealed the secret of the 10,000 images array. A tall and skinny young man said. The young disciple's face reddened and he hurriedly argued, everyone knows how to break the array. Han Yu also knows. How can you accuse me of being a traitor? Moreover, they were outside, not inside the array. It doesn't matter if they know. Oh, you're still quibbling. Look at you, your face is red. You're like this just talking to someone. TSK, how embarrassing. Don't talk about me. Let's watch them break the formation. There's no need to watch. There's no hope. I can see that Han Yu wants to use his friend to attract the main force while he looks for the formation spirit hidden in the stone statues. However, don't forget that once Han Yu starts attacking the stone statues, he'll trigger the manifestation formation's self-protection restriction. At most, he only has the time to destroy a few hundred stone statues. This amount of time is simply not enough to find the formation spirit hidden inside, unless his luck is exceptionally good, and the formation spirit just happens to be hidden inside those few hundred stone statues. There was no lack of talented disciples in the Oracle Palace. Everyone immediately analyzed the Old Een Monkey's plan. In fact, Old Een Monkey majored in the Rune domain. In terms of actual combat experience and Wu Xiu's combat power, he was definitely inferior to Chu Hen. Relying on his powerful combat ability, Chu Hen only managed to destroy close to 1,000 stone statues. In the blink of an eye, he fell into the encirclement of many even more powerful beasts. With the Old Een Monkey's ability, he might not reach Chu Hen's level. Bang! Waves of qi spread out, wantonly venting. Chu Hen finally felt the pressure. Previously, he was able to kill several demonic beasts with a single slash, but now, he no longer had the ability to do so. The demonic beasts that surrounded him were not only exceptionally powerful in their attacks, but their defenses were also shockingly strong. Although he could still get rid of one or two ferocious beasts, Chu Hen gradually began to attack less and defend more. Bang! An incomparably cold and powerful sword aura stacked up. The formless emperor blade in Chu Hen's palm blossomed with thousands of brilliant lightning rays. With a single slash, the condensed spear radiance in front of him shattered. Then, the sword radiance, like a rainbow piercing through the sun, instantly smashed the armored ghost giants into pieces. However, without waiting for Chu Hen to catch his breath, a lizard covered in red scales behind him opened its mouth. Hua! An earth-shattering wave of qi roasted the space, and a magma-like fireball whizzed over. Chu Hen's complexion changed. He immediately turned around and used the formless emperor blade to block in front of him. Boom! The heat wave soared to the sky, and the big and small fireballs exploded like a rain of flowers. The terrifying impact directly blasted Chu Hen away. Bang! The endless rain of fire splashed down, and Chu Hen's back heavily hit the cold and solid wall of the giant tower. Whoosh! Whoosh! A rapid and sharp tearing sound of air waves came, and a few giant octopus tentacles swept towards Chu Hen like heavy iron chains. Chu Hen's pupils shrank, and he hurriedly slapped the wall and immediately bounced out. Bang! The incomparably ferocious tentacle solidly smashed onto the wall. Waves after waves of vigorous and vast chi waves swept out, shaking Chu Hen to the point that the blood and chi in his body churned. How much longer? I can't hold on much longer, Chu Hen shouted. Hee, it's done. The old Een monkey let out a somewhat complacent laugh. As his voice fell, the old Een monkey's eyes flashed with a cold light, and a bright and beautiful rune suddenly shone from between his eyebrows. Along with the vast Reiki energy that poured out like a tsunami, the old Een monkey put his palms together, and an extraordinary aura was released from his body. That is? The people of the Heavenly Mystery Palace on the square outside the giant tower were shocked. In the next moment, with the old Een monkey at the center, an extremely luxurious and dazzling mysterious glyph formation appeared without any warning. The glyph formation spanned 100 feet, and lines of ancient spirit vine-like runes were connected from front to back, end to end. Secret scrolls of various sizes were like flowing springs, shining brightly. When did he set up the glyph formation? The people outside were astonished. This guy? Buzz! The space uneasily twisted and swayed. The old Een monkey in the center of the glyph formation was like a shaman controlling a divine wheel. Humph, Laozi's big move is coming. Hua! The old Een monkey opened his palms, and a vigorous and sharp aura swept out in all directions. In an instant, the glyph formation that spanned 100 feet suddenly burst out with a boundless sharp aura, and one could only see rays of golden light bursting out from within. Shing! The sound of sharp weapons trembling was especially intense, and the light and shadow that rose into the sky rapidly transformed into sharp divine swords. Evil punishing sword formation! The old Een monkey loudly shouted. A dense killing intent instantly filled the sky and the earth, attacking the entire Wanxiang formation. A dense rain of swords soared into the sky, sweeping up a storm of killing power. Hiss! Chi! One demonic beast after another was pierced through by the golden rain of swords and crushed to pieces. It tore the wind and split the air, stunning beyond compare. The sword river that was like a rain of light was unstoppable. Everywhere it went, a rain of blood danced, and the vicious beasts wailed. The powerful vicious beasts and evil beings that surrounded Chu Hen did not even have time to react before the endless sword lights attacked. One after another, the huge bodies of the beasts were turned into sieves. The countless divine swords under the control of the old Een monkey set off a myriad of killing divine might. After mercilessly killing the vicious beasts in the formation, the old Een monkey's eyes focused, and he immediately changed his hand seals. Buzz, following the waves of sword cries, the sword rain that could topple mountains and overturn the seas actually flew together, explosively attacking the squares on the walls. Bang, 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 the continuous heavy explosions were like fireworks exploding. The terrifying sword rain formed a river, washing all the way up. A large number of stone statues shattered into dust. Layer after layer, the stone statues on the walls were quickly destroyed. In the blink of an eye, there were more than 2,000 to 3,000 of them. Shock! Shock! Looking at the scene in the Wanxiang formation, everyone from the Heavenly Mystery Palace widened their eyes, feeling extremely surprised. It's actually the evil punishing sword formation. Isn't Han Yu too daring? What a madman! The disciples of the Heavenly Mystery Palace all knew that the evil punishing sword formation was a pure killing rune technique. The runes that this formation needed were mainly of the destruction attribute. This also meant that when setting up the evil punishing sword formation, there could not be the slightest mistake. Otherwise, the repulsive effect produced by the runes would be enough to take the old Een monkey's life. Inside the Wanxiang formation, the situation was extremely chaotic. Almost no one would choose to set up such a dangerous rune technique. Especially for an alternative like the old Een monkey who liked to play with fire, it was even easier for him to lose himself at any time. However, not only did the old Een monkey successfully complete this rune technique, it was also without anyone noticing. The most important thing was that the old Een monkey had purposely arranged the wrong rune technique to deal with the fierce beast's attack. To be able to correctly create the evil punishing sword formation under such a deliberate mistake, anyone could not help but be amazed by the old Een monkey. Just how much proficiency did he have to be to dare to mess around like this? At this moment, even the third elder secretly shook his head and sighed. If this bastard can return to the right path, he can be considered a genius with extraordinary talent. It's a pity that he only wants to walk the unorthodox path all day long. The old Een monkey was a genius. Anyone with a discerning eye could see it. But sometimes the other party was also a complete madman. Boom! Bam! In the blink of an eye, the terrifying rain of swords flattened thousands of stone statues. And at this moment, after a stone statue on the west side of the gigantic tower exploded, a scarlet-red halo of light flew out from within. The halo of light was like a ball of flame spectre, illusory and ethereal like mist. It's the formation spirit. Chapter 1569. 1 second to remember, wonderful pop-up window free reading. It's the formation spirit. Looking at the ball of flame that flew out of the stone statues, the people of the Heavenly Mystery Palace outside the Wanxiang formation were shocked. The power of the evil extermination sword formation could not be underestimated. It destroyed thousands of stone statues in an instant, and the large-scale bombardment directly forced out the formation spirit of the Wanxiang formation. Not good, Han Yu is going to break the formation. Yes, his friend delayed him for too long. I really don't want to see this guy stay. Under the different gazes of the people of the Heavenly Mystery Palace, the old Een monkey within the Wanxiang formation gathered his aura. His serious expression was completely devoid of his usual frivolous, and disdainful expression. Standing within the evil extermination sword formation, his piercingly cold eyes stared at the ball of flame that was like a red spirit. The previous few times you've caused me so much trouble. Let's see how you escape this time. Whoosh! A series of impassioned sword cries resounded through heaven and earth. The old Een monkey clasped his hands together, forming a sword seal. Both of his index fingers pointed at the swaying formation spirit in the air. 10,000 evil extermination. In an instant, the sharp whistles of the sharp weapons tore through the sky. The tens of thousands of sword shadows that blotted out the sky immediately swept towards the red array spirit with an unparalleled killing aura. Whoosh! Whoosh! Waves of vigorous chi flowed through the 10,000 elephant formation, like deadly aurora shuttles. The terrifying sword force was like rain, and the formation spirit had nowhere to hide. Hiss! Countless illusory sword lights crisscrossed and struck on the body of the formation spirit. Its misty body was like the broken shadow of a lake that had been minced. It was quickly cut into pieces. Then it was smashed into pieces. In the end, it turned into fragments that filled the sky. He had succeeded. Looking at the broken formation spirit in the rain of swords, the people of the Heavenly Mystery Palace clenched their fists, their eyes filled with many complicated emotions. Most of them secretly shook their heads. He actually let Han Yu pass. This guy is going to be complacent again. There's no other way. First, the evil extermination sword formation is too strong. Second, his luck is not bad. There were about 2,000 to 3,000 stone statues left in the 1,000 elephant formation. This meant that this illusionary killing formation still possessed a very strong power. However, with the destruction of the formation spirit, the 10,000 elephant formation could no longer operate. If the array spirit was hidden in the remaining 2,000 to 3,000 stone statues, old Een monkey would not be able to break the array. Therefore, a small part of it was luck. Wait a minute, look inside. Just when everyone thought that the 1,000 elephants array was about to stop, a surprised voice suddenly rang out from the crowd. What? The 10,000 elephants formation is still in operation. What? Everyone in the room was shocked. Roar. Woo. A series of ferocious roars shook the 10,000 elephant formation. Immediately after, balls of dazzling light appeared in the huge tower that had been cleared by the evil extermination sword formation. Along with the burst of dazzling light, a vigorous and clear evil aura immediately filled the entire interior space of the giant tower. F***ck, you guys are messing with me again. Old Een Monkey's expression changed greatly. Before he finished speaking, 100-meter-long beast with a bull's head and a wolf's body leaped into the air above Old Een Monkey's head and opened its bloody mouth. Buzz! A spiral of black light gathered in its mouth and instantly turned into a ball of energy with a diameter of more than 10 meters. Whoosh! A fierce gust of wind surged down and Old Een Monkey's pupils rapidly shrank to the size of a needle. Boom! An incomparably heavy explosion sounded out and the ground rapidly caved in and cracked. Even the dazzling array under Old Een Monkey's body that had been destroyed was sent flying by a huge force. Bang! Old Een Monkey heavily hit the wall behind him. Immediately, his internal organs trembled and he spat out a mouthful of fresh blood. You shameless things, you're clearly messing with me. Old Een Monkey opened his mouth and cursed. And, outside the 10,000 elephant formation, everyone from the Heavenly Mystery Palace subconsciously turned to look at the third elder. But they saw that the other party's expression was especially calm. Very obviously, this result was within the third elder's expectations. That's not the formation spirit? Or could it be that the key to breaking the formation is not at that point? Oh my God! His methods are a bit ruthless. The surprise seemed to have come somewhat unexpectedly. Everyone who was disappointed that Old Een Monkey had successfully broken the formation immediately became excited. Very obviously, the higher-ups of the Heavenly Mystery Palace clearly wanted to expel Old Een Monkey from the sect. Roar! A large number of ferocious beasts and evil beings once again filled the tower. Old Een Monkey fell into a heavy encirclement. The powerful evil energy was like a mountain torrent and tsunami. One by one, the ferocious beasts charged towards Old Een Monkey, causing him to fall into a hopeless situation. At the same time, the third elder also slowly raised his arm. I announce that the formation has failed, however. Just as the third elder was about to announce the result, Old Een Monkey suddenly shouted, "Chu Hen Brat, I can't hold on any longer. Have you found the formation spirit? Have you found the formation spirit?" Towards Old Een Monkey's sudden question, everyone's heart was once again shocked. Hua! It was also at this time that on the other side, Chu Hen, who was also surrounded by many vicious beasts, unexpectedly released a majestic and monstrous aura without any warning. Found it! Whoosh! The invisible and powerful aura caused everyone's heartstrings to tremble. Swish! The moment his words fell, Chu Hen flipped his palm and the formless emperor blade in his hand shot out like a beam of light. The sharp sword shadow dragged a condensed wave of air through the gaps of the beasts and rushed to the outer area. Flying immortal flash, whoosh! Afterimages flashed in the air as Chu Hen disappeared from his original spot like a ghost. In the next moment, he immediately followed the formless emperor blade and rushed out of the encirclement of the beasts. Screech! A sharp wave of air vibrated. Chu Hen's eyes, which were as black as ink, suddenly exploded with a demonic purple light. A strong spatial rhythm appeared in the depths of his pupils. Roar! Along with the purple flames that burned the sky, a huge demonic flame dragon bathed in fire appeared, setting off a majestic momentum as it directly pounced towards the area behind the many demonic beasts. Sacred demonic pupil physique. The third elder's expression changed. Many disciples of the Heavenly Mystery Palace were also shocked. It's actually one of the 10 strongest bloodlines, the demonic pupil physique. This person has a powerful background. Under many shocked gazes, the huge dragon shadow condensed from the purple demonic flame swooped down. Its target was a white demonic beast that was less than 100 meters tall. The demonic beast's body was similar to that of a leopard cat, with sharp claws and vertical pupils. It did not look particularly eye-catching. Woo! Looking at the demonic flame dragon shadow swooping down, the leopard cat opened its mouth and directly spat out a lightning-shaped golden light blade. Clang! Like a lightning bolt, the lightning blade slanted across the sky, sweeping up a terrifying destructive force and attacking the demonic flame dragon's neck. In an instant, the demonic flame dragon was immediately cut in two. Then, with a bang, the purple fireballs that filled the sky exploded, covering the sky and covering the earth with purple waves of air. However, at the same time that the demonic flame dragon exploded, a strange black shadow rushed out from the waves that were flying all over the world. That strange shadow was a tree trunk. Its 4 limbs were beast claws. Its head was an umbrella-shaped crown. It's a talisman beast, it's a talisman beast. The square outside the 1,000 Elephants formation was once again filled with exclamations. He actually has another talisman beast? Screech! The talisman beast let out a shrill cry as it flew towards the leopard cat beast. At the same time, its body rapidly expanded, instantly turning into a beast that was hundreds of meters tall. It was a close call. The pace of the situation was so fast that it was suffocating. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Just as the talisman beast had not touched the leopard cat beast, the ground below cracked inch by inch, and a huge octopus tentacle sprang out like vines. The extremely powerful tentacles were as fast as lightning, directly intercepting the talisman beast and quickly entangling its body. Just a little more. All the disciples of the Heavenly Mysteries Palace clenched their fists. Twists and turns. Time and time again, the reversal had already gripped everyone's mind. However, the moment the talisman beast was about to fall into the encirclement of the many vicious beasts, its black abyss-like mouth suddenly opened. A dreamy space appeared, distorting. Buzz, buzz, then, an ancient black stone tablet emitting a boundless aura was spat out from the talisman beast's mouth. That was? Everyone's expression changed again and again. Even the 3rd elder of the Heavenly Mysteries Palace widened his eyes. Rumble, the rumbling of wind and thunder overlapped. The ancient black stone tablet flickered with beautiful mysterious runes as it descended towards the white leopard cat demonic beast with the power to suppress evil. A terrifying power crushed down. The white leopard cat's vertical pupils rapidly shrank to the size of a needle. The divine stone suppressing the array spirit. The great Tao breaks 1,000 elephants. Under countless gazes filled with disbelief, the ancient stone instantly transformed into a divine tablet that was hundreds of meters tall. Then, it firmly pressed down on the white leopard cat demonic beast's body. Bang! An incomparably violent and heavy explosion reverberated in all directions, like an unshakable world-shaking seal. The huge figure of the white leopard cat beast was directly smashed into pieces by the terrifying destructive power. Like a chain reaction, the other malevolent giant beasts within the 1,000 Elephants array also suffered a terrifying impact. One by one, they exploded into countless fragmented energy patterns. Chapter 1570. The divine stone suppresses the formation spirit, the great Tao shatters all phenomena. Boom! Bang! Within the myriad phenomenon formation, the heavens and earth split apart, mountains and seas roared. All sorts of violent shockwaves were like terrifying hurricanes that wreaked havoc in the sky, assaulting the interior of the great formation. At this moment, everyone in the myriad phenomenon square widened their eyes, their expressions changing, incomparably shocked. Rumble, in the next moment, a monstrous and terrifying wave of air swept out in all directions from the center of the myriad phenomenon square. The towering tower that stood in front of everyone, towering in the clouds, directly exploded from the center, instantly disintegrating and shattering into pieces. Boom! The incomparably powerful and condensed shockwaves swept out along the ground of the square, fierce gales sweeping in all directions, along with the people who were blown back. The 5 high-ranking elders of the Heavenly Mystery Palace were also directly shaken back, their eyes gloomy, their expressions especially unsightly. The entire place was silent. Everyone's heart could not calm down for a long time. It really was full of twists and turns. First, the old Een monkey used the evil killing sword formation to strangle the formation spirit, mistakenly causing people to think that the formation had been successfully broken. But the person who set up the formation had intentionally changed the ending. Who would have thought that Chu Hen would once again find the true location of the formation spirit? But the talisman beast almost fell, making people feel that it was a pity. However, at the last moment, the ancient stone tablet that the talisman beast spat out directly crushed the entire myriad phenomenon formation. Reversal. Another reversal. As a result, everyone's hearts were rising and falling like the tide. The giant tower formed by the myriad phenomenon formation no longer existed. In the large central area of the square, there were only Chu Hen, the old Een monkey, and the mysterious stone tablet that exuded a simple and unadorned aura. Ha 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 ha! Sitting paralyzed on the ground, the old Een monkey laughed unbridledly with incomparable satisfaction. You bunch of rotten old men, simply too evil. I knew you would trick me. You didn't think that lousy was already prepared, right? Ha 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 ha! Satisfying, ha ha! The old Een monkey unceremoniously mocked loudly. Then he gave Chu Hen a thumbs up. Chu Hen brat, I really didn't misjudge you. Well done, ha 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 ha. Seeing the old Een monkey's incomparably proud attitude, the entire Heavenly Mystery Palace had no choice but to accept the fact that the other party had successfully broken through the Wanxiang array. Those who had been mocking him earlier had all shut their mouth. No one even said that they were lucky. There was no luck involved at all. Furthermore, it was much more difficult than he had imagined. Whether it was the old Een monkey completing the evil-slaying sword formation in that chaotic situation, or Chu Hen accurately finding the array spirit at the last moment, it was not something that luck could achieve. Are you hurt? Luo Mengchang also walked to Chu Hen's side and asked with concern in her eyes. Chu Hen shook his head slightly as a gentle smile appeared on his face. A few sighs could be heard from the crowd outside the arena. Previously, many people were secretly mocking Luo Mengchang, dissatisfied with the fact that she had taken a fancy to Chu Hen, who was not outstanding at all. Now, it seemed that they had misjudged her. Chu Hen pulled Luo Mengchang's lily-white hand and walked to old Een monkey's side. You can still stand up? Hee, it's a small matter. Old Een monkey's eyes were shining, and his entire body was emitting a smug aura. He crawled up from the ground and brushed off the dust. Although our cooperation was flawless, your performance at the end was really perfect. I almost thought that we wouldn't be able to pass. Chu Hen smiled. You've already given me such an important task. Of course I have to do my best. Not bad, not bad. We'll help each other, hee. Regarding the conversation between Chu Hen and old Een monkey, the people of Heavenly Mystery Palace could not help but scratch their heads. In fact, before old Een monkey decided to cooperate with Chu Hen in breaking through the Wanxiang array, the two of them had already had a serious exchange. Senior, how confident are you? On the way to the Wanxiang Square, old Een monkey and Chu Hen were walking in front and talking in detail. Luo Mengchang followed behind them and did not disturb them. If it was me alone, I wouldn't have any confidence. This was old Een monkey's answer. Oh! To be honest, the Wanxiang array is actually not difficult to break. I just need to find the array spirit. However, those old fellows have a deep prejudice against me, so they will definitely have a backup plan. What backup plan? I'm guessing that even if I find the first array spirit, I probably won't be able to break the formation. If I'm not wrong, there's definitely a second array spirit hidden in the Wanxiang array. Therefore, when I break through the formation, I will attract the attention of those old fellows in a large area and find the first array spirit. And what you need to do is to use your pair of demonic eyes to find the second array spirit that's hidden in the back. This was the tactical distribution that the two of them had discussed earlier. He had to admit that old Een Monkey was terrifyingly smart. He had even guessed the thoughts of the upper echelons of the Heavenly Mystery Palace. He had used the evil-slaying sword formation to destroy the stone statues wantonly, but in reality, it was to create an opportunity for Chu Hen, so that he would have enough time to find the location of the second array spirit. On the surface, it looked like Chu Hen was assisting old Een Monkey. In reality, it was the other way around. Not only was it a battle between the abilities of the challenger and the one who set up the array, it was also a battle of wits and strategies. Without a doubt, this time, old Een Monkey had the upper hand. Third Elder, are you all right? Old Een Monkey had a despicable expression on his face that was asking for a beating. Sorry, I don't want to laugh, but looking at your ashen old face, I can't help it. Ha 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 ha, the corner of the third elder's eyes twitched. He had the urge to slap old Een Monkey into the ground, and it was the kind that couldn't even be dug out. The 5 elders all had ugly expressions on their faces. They looked at each other, all of them filled with rage. As for the disciples of the Heavenly Mystery Palace, there was no need to mention them. What a sin! It's really a sin. What kind of sin has the Heavenly Mystery Palace suffered? I can't even get rid of this bastard. Sigh. It's the will of the heavens. I'll just stay away from him in the future. Amidst a wave of shaking heads and sighing, the crowd on the Wanxiang Square left one after another. The third elder let out a deep breath, suppressing the ball of anger in his stomach. In the future, stay away from those immortal talisman trees. If you dare to destroy another one, I won't let you off lightly. Alright. Also, according to the agreement, all the restrictions on me have been lifted. Now I can go see the palace master. After saying that, old Een Monkey turned around and raised his eyebrows at Chu Hen. Chu Hen boy, let's go. I'll bring you to see the Heavenly Mystery Great Hall. Chu Hen's eyes lit up. He looked at Luo Mengshang in surprise and nodded. Immediately, Chu Hen put away the black stone tablet in the center of the square and impatiently left the Wanxiang Square with old Een Monkey. Third Elder, you're lifting the ban on that scoundrel just like that? As they watched the 3 of them leave, the 5 elders revealed expressions of unwillingness. This time, they were determined to kick old Een Monkey out of the Heavenly Mystery Palace. They didn't expect to go for wool and come home shorn. The third elder shook his head helplessly. What else can I do? Even the 5 of you couldn't stop him from breaking the formation. What else can I do? This. They looked at each other with cold faces. I didn't expect that kid to be from the Demonic Eye clan. If I knew, I would have targeted him. Sigh. I was too careless. But who is he? He has the Demonic Eye bloodline and a talisman beast? Was there news from the Midland that the War God Palace was destroyed by a young man with the Demonic Eye sacred body? That seems to be the case. Could that person be? It stirred up a great commotion. In an instant, the few of them could not help but squint their eyes, revealing a look of surprise. Heavenly Mystery Great Hall. This time, no one stopped old Een Monkey. Protector Guan, who blocked the way, didn't show up either. That old Protector Guan is smart. He knew that I would scold him, so he didn't dare to come. Old Een Monkey was especially proud of himself after breaking through the 10,000 elephant formation. He swaggered as he walked. Chu Hen and Luo Mengchang couldn't help but find it funny. Of all the people the 2 of them knew, only Mu Feng could compete with old Een Monkey. If these 2 met in the future, no one knew who would be more shameless than the other. Old man, I'm here to see you. You should control those old guys. They're too King cruel. Fortunately, I'm smart. Otherwise, I would have been played to death by them. Old Een Monkey directly led Chu Hen and Luo Mengchang up the stairs and into the palace. The huge palace was magnificent. It was luxurious yet simple, solemn yet solemn. The pillars and walls of the palace were engraved with many complicated and mysterious runes. There were also many strange beast patterns on it. They looked like the legendary ancient totems. At the top of the palace, the ancient throne room exuded a gloomy and cold aura. On the spacious stone chair, a figure wearing a plain robe sat there. It was an old man who looked to be in his 60s. He was neither tall nor thin, neither fat nor short. His hair and beard were white, and he held a rune scroll in his hand. Even though the other party didn't reveal any aura. But at first glance, Chu Hen didn't have any doubts. This was a true expert. This person was the highest authority in the Heavenly Mystery Palace, and even the man with the highest status in the entire southern continent. Heavenly Mystery Palace Master, Mu Fei. Old man, I've brought you 2 friends. As Old Een Monkey spoke, he signaled Chu Hen with his eyes. Chu Hen faintly nodded his head. Shortly after, he respectfully went up and paid his respects. Junior Chu Hen pays his respects to the Heavenly Mystery Palace Master. Little girl Luo Mengchang pays her respects to the Palace Master. However, the figure in the palace didn't have much of a reaction, and continued to read the scroll in his hand. Seeing this, Chu Hen continued. Palace Master, I've come here this time because I have a request. The other party still didn't answer. Old Een Monkey frowned and stepped forward. I say, old man, even if you're angry at me, you can't just ignore me? That's rude. Polite. These 2 people coming from the mouth of the old Een Monkey was inexplicably strange. To the others in the Heavenly Mystery Palace, this was definitely not something a human would say. At this moment, Mu Fei slowly closed the scroll in his hand, and a pair of imposing eyes fell on Chu Hen. I know why you're here. Chu Hen was startled. Back then, there was also a man with the surname Chu who brought his wife here. Mu Fei said calmly. Thank you to Enran, Li Wu Shang, Pigeon King, Goat Village Rich Bro, and other brothers for your tips. The total amount of tips has exceeded 1 million chasing wave coins. This can be considered a small milestone in writing books for so many years. The subsequent plot is more difficult to write, but I'll try to add more in the next few days. I'm really grateful for everyone's support, thank you. Chapter 1571. I know why you're here. Back then, there was also a man with the surname Chu who came here with his wife. Mu Fei raised her cold eyes. In the main hall, Mu Fei raised his eyes slightly. His tone was calm and indifferent, as if he had already seen through Chu Hen's intentions. Chu Hen's heart trembled when he heard Mu Fei's words. He clenched his fists and his eyes were filled with restlessness. Then, where did they go? Misty heaven. Mu Fei slightly raised her head and replied, at that time, that man's wife was severely injured. He barged into my Heavenly Mystery Palace and forcefully opened the passage to the misty sky, bringing his injured wife inside. Very serious injuries? Hearing these words, Chu Hen's arm couldn't help but tremble. Luo Mengchang stepped forward and gently held Chu Hen's arm to calm his uneasiness. Why did they go to the misty heaven? Chu Hen asked in a deep voice. In order to find a way to save his wife and avoid the pursuit of his enemies. That man told me that if he saved his wife, he would return. But if he failed, he would leave this world with his wife. What about all these years? Chu Hen looked at Mu Fei nervously. However, the latter shook her head slightly. Ever since they went in, they never came out. Mu Fei stared at Chu Hen's slightly pale face. Before that man left, he told me that his son would find this place in the future. He left you 2 choices. Chu Hen was stunned. What are the 2 choices? One is to leave this place, and there might still be hope in your heart. The other is to enter the misty heaven, but you might suffer even more pain. Leave. Advance. It sounded like a very simple choice, but when he thought about the uncertain consequences, he felt as if he was stuck in a quagmire, unable to struggle. He continued to wait with hope, or face the consequences that he was even more unwilling to accept. No matter who it was, they would feel a wave of confusion. However, Chu Hen only hesitated for a moment before replying with incomparable determination. I want to go to the misty heaven. Are you sure? Mu Fei asked. Yes, I'm sure. In the face of Mu Fei's doubts, Chu Hen was particularly certain. Rather than waiting endlessly with uncertain hope, I'd rather face the reality that has already been decided. He saw the determination in Chu Hen's eyes. Mu Fei stood up, an invisible majestic aura exuding from between his brows. That man asked me to tell you that no matter what the final outcome is, he hopes that you can accept everything that happens. Things did not turn out as he had imagined. Chu Hen didn't even say that he wanted to use the passage to the misty sky. This palace master of the mysterious heavenly palace, whom he had never met before, seemed to know everything. Moreover, Chu Hen felt that the other party was an acquaintance of Chu Rantian's. They might even be friends. Pausing for a moment, Chu Hen's eyes overflowed with coldness. I still have a question. Who were the people who chased after my parents? As soon as he said that, Luo Mingshang, an old Yin monkey, who was standing not far away, could not help but reveal solemn expressions. The three of them stared closely at Mu Fei's calm and dignified face. The latter looked into Chu Hen's eyes, his lips moving slightly as he replied faintly. You'll have to find the answer yourself. Chu Hen frowned slightly, wanting to say something but hesitating. He could sense the apprehension in the depths of Mu Fei's eyes. Evidently, he knew something, but chose to avoid it due to some sort of misgivings. After all, the matter back then was of great importance. It concerned two of the strongest sacred clans, and perhaps even more. Although the mysterious heavenly palace was the ruler of the southern continent, it was unwilling to interfere with the affairs of the 10 strongest sacred clans. Chu Hen understood this as well. There was no need to ask further. Even if he asked, Mu Fei wouldn't tell him. The other party had unconditionally allowed him to go to the misty sky. This was already a great friendship. Half an hour later, under Mu Fei's lead, Chu Hen, Luo Mengchang, and the old Yin monkey walked into a peculiar forest. The towering trees were flickering with a myriad of mysterious and gorgeous talismans. The huge canopies of the trees were like huge umbrellas, and every single leaf was like a diamond hanging on the branches. When the cool breeze blew past, they emitted a wave of soft chimes that sounded like silver bells. The forest was made of immortal talisman spirit trees. It was absolutely unimaginably grand and luxurious. In the entire world, only the mysterious heavenly palace could spend so much money to plant such a treasure into a forest, covering the hillsides and streams. The group walked on the stone path in the forest. The atmosphere was rather quiet. Even the chatterbox, old Yin monkey, was somewhat silent. He was very surprised that Mu Fei would agree to Chu Hen so easily. From the simple conversation before, old Yin monkey could more or less understand Chu Hen's purpose. Coupled with the news of the Demon Eye Sacred Clan, old Yin monkey couldn't help but feel a little worried for Chu Hen. Directly passing through the immortal talisman forest, the group reached the center. Then, a vast square platform appeared before everyone's eyes. The platform was built in a rather grand manner, with jade railings and stone pillars around it. In the center of the platform there was a spring. Dense golden mist rose from the spring, and in the spring, the largest immortal talisman spirit tree stood in the center of the forest. Chu Hen's eyes slightly trembled. The immortal talisman spirit tree in front was at least 5,000 to 6,000 meters tall. It was incomparably lush and gorgeous, like a huge divine bird's nest. An incomparably vigorous natural aura and talisman power continuously spread out, making one unconsciously feel relaxed and happy. This immortal talisman spirit tree is 10,000 years old, and is our sect's treasure. Old Een Monkey explained in a low voice. Chu Hen nodded slightly, expressing his amazement. Below the 10,000-year immortal symbol spirit tree, there were 2 elders seated. The elder on the left was dressed in white and was slightly plump. The elder on the right was dressed in black and had a thin face. Seeing Mu Fei and the others arrive, the 2 old men slowly opened their eyes, revealing a sharp glint in their eyes. Palace Master has personally come. Is there something important? The white-clothed elder asked softly. Mu Fei placed her hands behind her back and turned to look at Chu Hen. Then, she nodded. I need to open the spirit formation gate to the misty sky. Oh! The 2 elders were somewhat surprised. After looking at each other, the black-clothed elder's voice was slightly cold as he said, Palace Master, have you considered the consequences of opening the misty sky passage? Mu Fei nodded slightly. I've considered it very clearly. Then are you willing to bear all the consequences? Yes. Listening to the conversation between Mu Fei and the 2, Chu Hen could not help but clench his fists, a complicated expression surging in his eyes. Previously, he had heard Old Een Monkey explain the pros and cons of the matter. Perhaps opening the passage to the misty sky was not difficult. What he was truly worried about was the consequences of the instability of the various factors after opening it. Since that's the case, then there's no need for us to say anything more. Finished speaking, the 2 elders' eyes instantly turned cold, a strange rune light exploding from their pupils. Buzz! Immediately after circle of resplendent rune spirit vines spread out along the platform beneath them. At the same time, the 10,000-year immortal talisman spirit tree behind the 2 suddenly swayed with countless threads of light swirling energy patterns. The dreamlike light swirls were like layers of veils dancing around the immortal talisman spirit tree. An urgent, piercingly cold air suddenly rose. The enormous immortal talisman forest was startled by waves of intense spatial fluctuations. Rumble! The sky above the immortal talisman forest quietly darkened. Storms gathered, and the black clouds were like a rotating giant millstone, enveloping the top of the heavenly mystery palace. What's going on? What happened? I don't know. The entire heavenly mystery palace was alarmed. Pairs of bewildered gazes stared at the sky above the dense forest of immortal talisman spirit trees. Countless white mist-like spirals of light rose from the many immortal talisman spirit trees, converging in the sky. The storm whirlpool that gathered above became more and more intense. Even the star-like rune light embellished and flickered in the air. The space within the storm that was enveloped by the black clouds began to distort and shatter. Buzz! A ripple of energy that caused the universe to tremble swept out. In that instant, a spirit formation wheel of light that spanned tens of meters appeared in the distorted and shattered space. It was like the gate of heaven opening that descended upon the world. The spirit formation passage that was covered in mysterious runes slowly rotated, then a vortex gap that emitted an endless dark aura opened. Chapter 1572. Buzz buzz looking at the mysterious and beautiful barrier wheel that appeared above the forest of immortal talisman trees, the entire heavenly mystery palace was shocked. Under Chu Hen's gaze that was filled with fear and expectation, the spirit formation passage that was like the gate of the heavens and was covered with mysterious runes slowly opened. Was this the entrance to the misty sky? 3 days at most. Heavenly Mystery Palace Master Mu Fei turned around and looked at Chu Hen. With our abilities, we can only last for 3 days at most. Once we exceed this limit, the passage to the misty sky will automatically close. If we want to open it again, we will have to wait for a very long time. During this time, I will not be able to touch anything that happens inside. Chu Hen nodded solemnly. I'll have to trouble you. Furthermore, Mu Fei's expression revealed a lot of seriousness. The misty sky realm is not stable and can even be said to be very fragile. A spatial storm can occur inside at any time and cause the realm to collapse. Although most of the spatial collapses are small, you must not let your guard down. If you are sucked into the spatial storm, even if you are at the Emperor realm, your body and spirit will be destroyed. Hearing Mu Fei's incomparably serious tone, Chu Hen's eyes could not help but overflow with some seriousness. All right, this junior will remember Palace Master's words. With that, Chu Hen turned his gaze to Luo Mengqiang. I'll go in alone, you stay here and wait for me. Even Emperor Realm experts did not dare to rashly step into the misty sky. It was definitely a dangerous place. Chu Hen naturally did not want Luo Mengqiang to take the risk with him. However, Luo Mengqiang firmly shook her head, her lily-white hand grabbing onto Chu Hen's wrist. I want to go with you. It's too dangerous inside. Wait for me here, be obedient, Chu Hen said with a gentle gaze. Luo Mengqiang's spirit eyes were clear, rippling with a beauty that could topple cities. I won't listen to you this time. No matter what you say, don't even think of getting rid of me. Cough cough. Not far away, old Een Monkey's small eyes slanted. I say, don't abuse the dogs. It wasn't like they were going to be separated by life and death. He just had to be more careful in the misty heavens. Try not to cause a large-scale explosion. If you encounter a spatial collapse, just turn around and run. I've even sneaked in once before. As soon as the old Een Monkey finished speaking, several sharp sword-like gazes focused on him. The Heavenly Mystery Palace's palace master, as well as the two elders on the platform, all had expressions of hatred on their faces. Seeing this, the old Een Monkey coughed twice. Then, he laughed dryly at Mu Fei. I was just curious. You've been to the misty sky before? Chu Hen was a little surprised. Old Een Monkey's eyes turned and he turned towards Chu Hen, nodding his head in a small voice. A long time ago, when the security here wasn't so strict, I snuck in once. But not long after I entered, I encountered a spatial collapse. I was so scared that I turned around and ran out. Because of this, I was hung up and beaten by these old fellows for a few days, and a layer of my skin peeled off. Listening to the other party's words, Chu Hen was also speechless. He had indeed underestimated the extent of the old Een Monkey's sins. There was really no place in this world that he did not dare to go. It was also because of the old Een Monkey's actions that the security here was extremely strict. Other than the palace master himself, no one else was allowed to approach. It's getting late, you two should hurry up, Mu Fei said. After all, supporting the opening of the domain passage required a huge amount of energy. Any delay would be a great loss. Chu Hen turned around and nodded his head. Why don't I go with them? I'm a little familiar with the road ahead. The old Een Monkey began to feel restless again. Chu Hen and Luo Mengqiang also looked at Mu Fei. However, the latter said to Chu Hen with deep meaning, after this trip, you two should stay away from him. After all, you are all normal people. I, Mu Fei, have been wise my whole life, but my biggest mistake in this life was to accept him as my personal disciple. Fuck. The old Een Monkey angrily jumped up and cursed. Old man, am I not a normal person? You're not human. Pfft. Luo Mengqiang was immediately amused, and Chu Hen also smiled. They did not expect that the Heavenly Mystery Palace master, who looked extraordinary and dignified, also had such a humorous side. This was enough to show the old Een Monkey's hateful and hair-raising sinful ability. Then this junior will go first. Chu Hen cupped his fists towards Mu Fei and the old Een Monkey. Be careful. Chu Hen boy, look after your wife, the old Een Monkey said. Chu Hen looked at Luo Mengqiang and felt helpless, but also a little warm in his heart. He grabbed Luo Mengqiang's fair and slender little hand, and the two moved like ascending immortals riding the wind, heading straight for the barrier light wheel in the clouds above. Buzz buzz. Bursts of intense spatial fluctuations spread out from the heaven-enlightening light wheel. The opening was dark, like a tunnel connecting to another world. The closer they got, the more they could feel the rapid cyclones originating from the inner space. A touch of determination flashed in Chu Hen's eyes. His grip on Luo Mengchang's hand tightened. Swish. Then, the two turned into a beam of light and tunneled into the deep and mysterious spatial tunnel. The wind and clouds swirled, and air waves covered the sky. In the sky above the heavenly mystery palace, it was as if a huge millstone was rotating. The vast scene was as if the stars were moving. Looking at the two figures that seemed to have been swept into the eye of the storm, the heavenly mystery palace master Mu Fei sighed, his eyes surging with some indescribable deepness. On the Tao platform behind him, the expressions of the two elders, dressed in white and black, were also cold. The opening of the misty sky is not a small matter. Why did you agree to those two? The slightly plump elder in white asked in a low voice. Mu Fei nodded slightly, paused, and said, "Because he is Chu Rantian's son." What? In an instant, the two elders' pupils trembled, and their eyes unconsciously revealed traces of deep meaning. The world was spinning, and they couldn't tell east from west. At this moment, Chu Hen and Luo Mengchang seemed to be in the eye of a storm on the surface of the sea, allowing the wanton attack of the spatial currents to pull them into the deeper depths of the vortex. The two seemed to have traveled through time and space, moving at an extremely fast speed. Around the tunnel, one could vaguely see the high-speed spatial turbulence. Chu Hen held Luo Mengchang's hand tightly, as if he was holding the most precious treasure, afraid that if he relaxed even a little, she would be swept elsewhere by the chaotic currents. Luo Mengchang's figure moved a little, looking at the sharp outline of Chu Hen's face. Feeling the warmth of his palm, she also felt incomparably at ease. The trace of resentment hidden in her heart also disappeared at this moment. Whoosh! At this moment, a dazzling white light shrouded them like a curtain from the sky. Chu Hen and Luo Mengchang's pupils shrank to the size of a needle, and their faces were also reflected white. The high-speed rotation of the space stealthily stabilized. Then, a cloud of dust and sand filled the sky, and the world of the Yellow Mountain suddenly reflected in the eyes of the two. Dusky yellow. Barren. What appeared in front of them was a boundless desert of sand and wind. The sky was extremely heavy, and the setting sun could not be seen. Thousands of miles of the great wilderness, other than the murky sandstorm and the barren river of sand, there was not a single bright color in the entire world. Here? This is the misty sky? Chapter 1573. Yellow sand filled the air and the sun couldn't be seen. Looking at the 1,000 miles of desert, looking at the dusty storm and the mountain-like sand river, Chu Hen and Luo Mengchang were like the only colors in the entire world. So this is ethereal sky. Chu Hen's eyes narrowed and his face was solemn. Raising his head to look at the gray sky, the entire world was so dim that even the shadow of the setting sun couldn't be seen. Here, everything seemed to be in a state of nothingness. This is most likely just the entrance, there should be other worlds ahead. Luo Mengchang said softly. Chu Hen nodded. Follow me closely, don't get lost. I know, my hand is about to be broken by you. Luo Mengchang smiled. Chu Hen couldn't help but smile. Let go after we pass this sandstorm. With such a large amount of yellow sand, I'm afraid you'll be gone by the time I turn around. You're exaggerating. Luo Mengchang was speechless. Let's go. After saying that, Chu Hen still held Luo Mengchang's hand and the two of them directly stepped into the desert covered in yellow sand. There was no north or south, no east or west. The chaotic sandstorm covered the sky and earth, covering the sky and covering the earth. Chu Hen immediately released the power of his domain, protecting himself and Luo Mengchang within it. In the blink of an eye, the two of them were submerged within. Facing the sandstorm, the two of them stepped on the sand and moved forward. The hazy sky was dim yellow, and in the distant horizon, there seemed to be two blurry afterimages of the sun. Like an illusion, but also like reality. Even though the two of them had reached the great Saint King realm, there were still many obstacles, and even flying in the air was a little difficult. 1,000 miles of nothingness. Everything was ethereal. Chu Hen and Luo Mingshang leaned on each other and moved forward slowly. It was as if they were following the footsteps of Chu Rantian and his wife in this illusory world. Cloud World. Baidi City. The moon hung on the branches and the sparrow flew south. The night sky that should have been decorated with stars was filled with an indescribable gloominess tonight. An elegant pavilion with a beautiful environment was very quiet. Not far away, the low cries of insects could be faintly heard from the flowers and grass. On the spacious walkway bench, a slender figure in a blue evening dress sat on the edge of a stone pillar. She buried her head between her legs and hugged her knees. Her silky long hair reached her waist. From afar, her lonely figure gave off an indescribable sense of loneliness and sorrow. At this moment, a warm hand gently comforted her back. The other party's heart skipped a beat. She slowly raised her head, revealing a breathtakingly beautiful face. Elder Qin Yue. She called out softly, and her beautiful peach blossom eyes seemed to be in a trance. The middle-aged woman who was addressed as Elder Qin Yue sighed softly. Then, she sat down beside him and gently embraced Bai Qianyu like a mother. "You've lost a lot of weight recently." His words were filled with heartache. Bai Qianyu gently leaned on him, a faint smile on his lips. She closed her eyes and leaned in Elder Qingyue's arms like when she was a child. "Elder Qingyue, you're just like my mother. You can always make me feel warm when I'm sad. Although I've never seen my mother before." Upon hearing this, Elder Qingyue's eyes welled up with tears. However, she was still smiling. "It's all your father's fault. If he was willing to marry me, you would be calling me mother right now." "Yes. It would be great if my father was still alive." Bai Qianyu subconsciously tightened her arms around Elder Qingyue. "But my father isn't that lucky. Elder Qingyue, you should stop thinking about him and find a good man to marry." Elder Qingyue could not help but feel a little amused. She gently patted Bai Qianyu's back. "Time is a quack, but it can cure all diseases. Everything will get better." "Well said." Bai Qianyu clasped her hands together tightly and shrunk her head in Qingyue's arms. There were tears in her long eyelashes. "But I really miss him. Is this a debt owed by the previous generation? Is it a debt owed by the Holy Eye Saint clan to the demonic Eye Saint clan?" "What are you talking about? You're the almighty Miss Bai Qianyu. The number of Saint clan geniuses who like you can form a queue from White Sovereign City to Midland. There are countless people who are better than him. What's there to miss?" "Yes. I'm the almighty Miss Bai Qianyu. I don't care about a bad man." Bai Qianyu muttered to herself. She seemed to be half asleep. "Bad man, I don't want to see you anymore." Sigh. Elder Qingyue sighed again with tears in her eyes. "Elder Qingyue, I have a question." "What is it?" "Who sent me back?" Bai Qianyu sat up slightly and looked at Elder Qingyue with her beautiful, slightly red eyes. "Don't you remember?" Qingyue asked. "I don't remember." Bai Qianyu shook her head, and her eyebrows were filled with confusion. "At that time I only felt a headache and then I lost consciousness. I don't remember what happened after that. I vaguely felt that it was a woman. Is it someone I know?" Qingyue paused and smiled. "It's nothing. She's just someone who happened to pass by." "Then how did she know that I live in White Sovereign City?" "Who doesn't know your golden eyes?" Qingyue gently touched Bai Qianyu's forehead. "You've already developed an inner demon. Try not to run around outside in the future." Bai Qianyu touched her head and smiled. "It's not necessarily a bad thing to have an inner demon. Maybe I can be like my father, Emperor Bai, and control the power of the heart beast. I can become the new Holy Eye Emperor. The Holy Eye Emperor won't become so haggard for a bad man. To be honest, if you're still like this, I'll go and kill that brat." "Go! It's good to kill him." Bai Qianyu raised her eyebrows and said playfully. "That's what you said." "That's what I said. Kill him, and I'll find a better man to marry." "Okay." Then, Elder Qingyue was about to leave, but before she could leave, Bai Qianyu pulled the corner of her clothes. The two of them looked at each other and couldn't help but smile. Forget it. Anyway, I don't plan to see him anymore. Let him live well. Bai Qianyu said and looked elsewhere. Elder Qingyue shook her head helplessly. Elder Qingyue, look. What's that? Suddenly, Bai Qianyu pointed towards the boundless night sky. Elder Qingyue looked at the sky in the direction she was pointing. Like a black veil, the dark clouds had covered most of the stars. Not long ago, the normal crescent moon had quietly turned into a strange red. The dark crimson crescent moon was like the half-opened eye of a prehistoric giant beast in the endless night sky. It was extremely mysterious and evil. This is... Elder Qingyue's expression changed slightly, and she could not help but clench her fists. The red moon has arrived. The sacred star will guard it. The red moon has arrived. The sacred star will guard it. Bai Qianyu's beautiful eyes flashed with doubt. Then, she raised her eyes and looked at Elder Qingyue in surprise. Could it be, that's right. Elder Qingyue looked at Bai Qianyu cautiously and said in a deep voice, "The Sacred Clan Conference is coming." Chapter 1574. Phew, the wind and sand filled the air, and the sandstorm blinded their eyes. It was as if they were passing through an endless sea of smoke and sand, walking through countless deserts. Chu Hen and Luo Mengchang were like lost people in the yellow sand, unable to find their way back. In the case of not being able to distinguish between north and south, the two could only lean on each other and walk forward side by side. They crossed one desert after another, crossed one desolate mountain ridge after another. After an unknown period of time, the violent and chaotic wind finally showed signs of subsiding. Chu Hen could clearly feel that the surrounding wind was gradually weakening and becoming weaker. We're going to cross this desert. Chu Hen's eyes lit up. Luo Mengchang also nodded in surprise. Well, we've finally crossed this place. The further they went, the weaker the wind became. The turbid yellow sand that blotted out the sky and covered the earth also became clear. The two could not help but speed up their pace. Soon, the sandstorm was thrown to the back of his mind. A clear space was reflected in Chu Hen and Luo Mengchang's eyes. We're finally out. Chu Hen took a deep breath and was willing to let go of Luo Mengchang's hand. Luo Mengchang did not find it funny. She gently shook her hands, only to find that her palms were sweaty. Aren't you afraid that I'll lose it now? Well, this should be an... Before Chu Hen could finish his answer, he was directly shocked by the scene in front of him. Then, Luo Mengchang was also stunned. This is? Both of their faces were filled with shock and disbelief. At this moment, the two of them were stepping on a hazy, chaotic area, like a vast cloud. However, in the sky of the continent of the 9 clouds, there were many mountains, valleys, and long rivers. This turned out to be an inverted world. The sky was under their feet. The earth was above their heads. The whole world seemed to be formed through the reflection of the water. It was real and fake, as if they were in some strange mysterious realm. Are we walking in the sky backwards? Luo Mengchang asked in confusion. Chu Hen was also shocked and confused. This phenomenon was a little too strange. Heaven and earth were flipped over. However, they were not affected in the slightest. The misty sky is really an unusual place, the edge of the sea, the end of the world. This was the evaluation of the people in the outside world towards the misty sky. Some people even said that it was the intersection of several realms. Everything that happened here could not be explained with common sense. Even so, the two of them were still astonished. It's really strange. Chu Hen's gaze trembled slightly as he looked around vigilantly. Luo Mengchang smiled lightly and gently held Chu Hen's hand. It's okay, I'm here. I will protect you. Chu Hen laughed involuntarily. His gaze revealed gentleness as he lightly held onto her delicate cheeks. My parents will be very happy to see you. Luo Mengchang's beautiful eyes were like clear ripples. She raised the corner of her mouth and replied with a smile, Then you have to introduce him properly when the time comes. Yes, my young lady Mengchang. Chu Hen smiled. Luo Mengshang blinked her big eyes and was also amused. Let's go. After saying that, the two of them held each other's hands and continued to walk forward. It was like the reversal of heaven and earth, the reversal of heaven and earth. Chu Hen and Luo Mengshang seemed to be walking in the illusory clouds. The inverted mountains, rivers, peaks, and jungles above their heads also seemed extremely magical and dreamy. Because Luo Mengshang was by his side, Chu Hen's mood was relatively relaxed. However, under this relaxed appearance, the two of them were more or less worried and uneasy. After all, it was still unknown whether they could find Chu Rantian and Li Zhixia, especially when Li Zhixia was seriously injured back then. With faint uneasiness and strong expectations, the two of them continued to move towards the depths of the misty sky. It was as if they were stepping on the vast endless universe and walking in an upside-down world. After an unknown period of time, as they continued to move forward, the scene in the sky quietly changed. Looking into the distance, in the boundless horizon, behind the lush forest, there was actually an ancient mountain city. The ancient aura was transmitted from the sky, and it was so real that it did not seem like a false illusion at all. The two of them moved forward. The scene in the sky was also changing. From the mountains to the rivers, from the jungle to the ancient city. It made people increasingly feel that this world was unusual. Day and night changed. Darkness fell. Thousands of stars appeared in the vast void under Chu Hen and Luo Mengshang's feet. Countless stars dotted the road, covering the front, back, left, and right like dazzling diamonds. Look, there are shooting stars, Luo Mengshang said. Chu Hen also nodded in surprise. At this moment, he really felt that the two of them were walking in the night sky upside down. The beautiful starry sky was under their feet. The nebula that was usually difficult to observe now filled their eyes, exuding an excessively mysterious beauty. Chu Hen and Luo Mengshang were like two small boats roaming in the vast sea of stars, piercing through the dazzling meteors in an instant. The crimson moon has arrived, and the sacred star will be guarded. It seems that the sacred race conference will start soon. Mysterious heavenly palace, the peak of a giant mountain. Mu Fei placed his hands behind his back. A pair of eyes that revealed the majesty of a ruler looked at the mysterious blood moon that had appeared in the sky with a deep expression. Then, Mu Fei turned to look at the east side of the mysterious heavenly palace. There, above the lush forest of immortal talisman spirit trees, the space passage that was like the gate of heaven was under the stable rotation of the nebula vortex. An endless stream of runes rose from within the immortal talisman spirit trees, supporting the connection to the misty sky. So many things have coincidentally gathered together. Is this the will of the heavens? At this moment, light footsteps came from behind. Old man, you came here in the middle of the night to think about life? The corner of Mu Fei's eyes turned cold, and she coldly replied, If you continue to be so disrespectful, I'll expel you from the mysterious heavenly palace. Hee, are you trying to scare me? That's enough. Old man, people say that I'm your illegitimate child. If you wanted to expel me, you would have done so long ago. Why wait until now? Old Een Monkey had a despicable expression, holding a fragrant fruit in his hand and chewing on it wantonly. Mu Fei's face could not help but twitch. If I had a illegitimate child like you, I'd rather jump down from here and end it all. Then why don't you jump? It's your ability to fall to your death. Shameless. Mu Fei sighed. She didn't want to say another word and turned to leave. Wait, old man, I have something to ask you. You know Chu Hen's father, right? Don't worry about what you shouldn't, don't do what you shouldn't. Mu Fei replied. From what you're saying, Chu Hen won't be able to find his parents this time. It's been so many years. If that Chu Rantian is still inside, he should have come out long ago. Mu Fei did not answer. He also did not want to pay attention to him. Which domain's distorted zone is the misty heaven? Old Een Monkey was not willing to let it go. Mu Fei paused, turned slightly, and said, I'm not sure, But there are a few places that are relatively close. Which ones? The God-forbidden blood prison, where the demon clan resides, the heart-beast space, that the 10 strongest sacred clans can sense, and the chaos abyss where the celestial emperor sealed the heretic god. These few domain planes are rumored to be relatively close to the misty heaven. They're all places of great danger. Old Een Monkey stopped nibbling on the spirit fruit in his hand, and his expression became somewhat serious. Isn't Chu Hen in a bit of danger now? Why do you say that? Mu Fei asked. Old Een Monkey hesitated for a moment, then answered solemnly, When I was at the Fortune Emperor Palace, I saw that Chu Hen's heart demon is unusually strong. Moreover, he has the bloodline of the demon pupil sacred clan, and has the power to sense the heart beast. If he's not careful, he'll probably go berserk. Hearing this, Mu Fei could not help but frown slightly. Looking at the crimson blood moon hanging high in the night sky, he could not help but fall into deep thought. Although those places of great danger are relatively close to the misty heaven, the space between them is not something that can be opened up by humans. As long as one has a firm will and guard one's heart, the heart demon will not be able to invade. But what if he encounters a space collapse? Old Een Monkey asked with a serious expression. It was obvious that he had thought of a series of unpredictable and serious consequences for Chu Hen. Mu Fei's eyes surged with some profound meaning. If that's the case, then the two of them won't be able to return.